Hey, good morning, Metropolis. It's now 5 after the hour of 6 a.m. in the big monster city.
Come on! Let's get pumped!
I'm not drinking any fucking Merlot! What can I say? The camera loves me.
Shall we begin?
After you, Junior.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Another episode of Logged It, episode number 38. We're talking about summer blockbusters. The summer season is coming around next week with the opening of Doctor Strange. And there wasn't really anything coming out this week, so we kind of thought, summer blockbusters might be something fun to talk about. There's many options all the way back from the 70s onward to today. So lots of stuff you could pick. I'm excited about this. We got a full panel for you tonight. Payson, you are here. Welcome back to the show. And how are you doing tonight?
Doctor, give me the news. I got a bad case for Doctor Strange. No, I'm actually doing very well. If anyone got that reference, you made me very happy. But this is going to be a fun panel. I think Jake knows exactly what I'm talking about. And yeah, let's have some fun.
Cody, you are here. Do you regret it yet?
I don't want to be here anymore.
Can I leave, please?
One, I forgot about this. With all due respect, nothing wrong against Logged It, but I got a tag, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm in that. And then I read who was on the panel, and I got less interested, to be honest with you. But listen, if you think it's about you, the shoe fits, wear it. But I'm not saying it's you. So yeah, talk about summer blockbusters. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I haven't been logged in a while. Happens when your boss leaves and you get to take the opening shifts for the time being, so it's kind of nice. But yeah, should be fun. Summer blockbusters. I love them, and I've been through a few seasons of just straight disappointing summer blockbusters too. So it's exciting to talk about.
Yeah, Jake, you requested to be on this one specifically. How are you feeling? Are you excited?
I'm good. I looked at the list, and this is kind of the one that kind of appealed to me. There's a couple movies I would like to pick. With Doctor Strange coming out, it would be cool if we did a Sam Raimi episode of Logged It. But I'll take this. This is going with me. Sam Raimi would be fun. I think I would have been the only. Michael and I would have been the only two people on. But I'm looking forward to this. This is gonna be good.
I don't think there's enough movies that we could do a Sam Raimi episode.
Does he really want to be on? He's got 14, I think.
Okay,
15,
fair.
Doctor Strange.
Fair.
And the majority of people we couldn't do Clint Eastwood one week, I think.
Yeah.
He has plenty.
Joseph, you are back after last week as well. How are you doing, sir? And are you excited about summer blockbusters?
I am glad you asked if we could do 70s and onward blockbusters, because I was looking through histories of blockbusters, and I almost considered Rear Window, because apparently that also made a huge profit on his budgets and release. What?
You can put whatever the fuck you want. I don't care.
As long as it's released in the summer.
You can do whatever you want, buddy.
I'll rip that to shred. Bring it up. Also, isn't 3 of the people in this panel right now the ones that were on animated last week? You, Jason, and that didn't bring up Scar, but let Canada and some terrible.
That wasn't us. That was Brooklyn.
Oh, and you called my bluff and said I wouldn't delete the channel, but I said you're not playing on Warzone anymore.
And where are we now, Cody?
I said you're not playing on Warzone anymore. Wait until the green rooms go dry, buddy. Hopefully,
sometimes we talk about things that aren't brought up as much. So think of it that way. Okay.
All right, we're going to start the show the way we do every week, which is we're going to talk about our favorite movie that we logged this week. Payson, let's start with you. What is your favorite movie that you logged this week?
Yeah, I saw quite a few really, really good movies this week, but I think the one I'm going to go with is The World's End. I watched this movie for the first time. I have yet to see Hot Fuzz, but from everything I've seen so far, this is Edgar Wright's best movie, in my opinion. I think Gary King is like one of my new favorite movie characters ever. I just love the whole idea of this guy who doesn't have any part of his life together, and he's trying to hold on to that point where he thought he had part of his life together, and just all of his friends are like, "No, man, we all moved on, but I guess we'll entertain the idea." of hanging out with you, and I was surprised as to how late in the movie the robots actually do show up. Like, the movie takes its time, like, setting up. I forget, like, which bar, like, exactly they show up. It's probably, like, the 5th or 6th. And I just love the idea of, like, yeah, on paper, what these robots are doing kind of does sound good, where it's like, we're going to take out all the bad parts of humans. But Gary and everyone else is like, no, but that's what makes us humans. Like, screw you. Go back to Legoland. And, yeah, I just think what Edgar Wright does with this movie is really, really good. I just love the energy. I love I really love Nick Frost in this movie. I love that he's like the straight man and he's just like putting up with all of Simon Pegg's bullshit. And yeah, I really, really love The World's End. So thank you, Cameron Holtzman.
It's fine. Like, I don't know. Like, I saw it when it came out, and it was actually my first Edgar Wright movie. So I thought it was fine when I saw it, and then Maggie and I watched the whole Cornetto trilogy last year. Hot Fuzz ended up being my favorite of the three.
Really
and this one is easily my least favorite of the three. I don't think it's a bad movie. I just think that it's fine. It's not my least favorite Edgar Wright movie. That easily goes to Last Night in Soho. That movie is bad.
But
it's bad. But this one, it's a good movie. I just think that it's disappointing coming off of Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz and Scott Pilgrim, and then especially when you go to Baby Driver afterwards. I think it's just kind of like a blemish, but not like a necessarily like ugly blemish. I don't know. I just think it's fine. There's nothing about it that really speaks to me. Like you just talked about, like how deep the characters are, and Holtzman, like, you know, flips out over it. Like I don't see that in the movie, and that's fine. I'm glad that other people love it the way that they do. It's not for me. Cody.
So it's kind of like Koho. It's a Koho effect, kind of. When people talk about movies enough, I just start hating them over time. Like Holtzman needs to find other movies. Like it would be really great if he'd like try to find another film to watch. That's like I've talked about this movie ad nauseum. I think it's his best one. I enjoy this one probably the most. I think Hot Fuzz is pretty close because of the idea of Hot Fuzz. I think it's the most interesting, but just how World's End works. Not Last Night in Soho, you're 100% correct, is by far the worst. That's not even a question. That's one of those like, ooh, I love the world we're in. The concept's interesting. The movie overall execution shit. But yeah, World's End, not bad. He just you know, we sit on this call. I just got told that we brought up animated movies that don't get talked about a lot, and then Payson's first pick is The World's End. So we're talking about movies that get.
It's just part of the favorite movies that you logged this.
I know, but we talked about this one ad nauseum. Did he not watch anything else? Let's go. Come on. I'm just saying.
Joseph, what's your take on the movie?
Yeah, I'm pretty much on your side, Tim. This movie is not a bad movie. I just don't love it as much as other things that Wright has done. It is. I've only seen it once. I'd be open to rewatching it again, but for now, it is also my least favorite Cornetto film as well.
Jake.
I love this movie. I'm a big Edgar Wright fan. I've always loved his style and the way he tells jokes. He's kind of, for me at least, the opposite of the Apatow kind of style, where he just is like so precise with every joke that he makes. I remember seeing this like after its theatrical run and liking it, but it is a clear-cut example of a movie that gets better with every time I rewatch it. To the point that the more I think about it, the more I think that this might be my favorite Edgar Wright film. I do love Hot Fuzz, and that is like for the longest time like my favorite comedy ever. But I think The World's End might top it, so I would like to rewatch it. But yeah, it's one of my favorite films ever.
Okay. Cody, let's go over to you for your favorite movie along this week.
So I would probably go if like best things. I would probably have picked Dead Man's Chest that I watched this week for Pirates, but I watched a movie recently. I'll talk more in depth probably a little bit tomorrow about a performance overall, but I did The Lion in Winter. This has got Peter O'Toole, Katharine Hepburn, and Anthony Hopkins in it. It's kind of crazy to see young Anthony Hopkins. The basic definition, the the plot that I finally realized, or the thing I finally realized in this movie, is Peter O'Toole's kind of the reason why the Oscars is bullshit. You can like put all your baskets, you're like, oh, the Oscars are great, I love the season, blah blah blah. But the fact that Peter O'Toole went his entire career and does not have an Oscar is kind of stupid, and that's one of the reasons. And there are people like Adrian Brody that has one. I'm just gonna throw that there. And Rami Malek, I will say both those have Oscars. Both of those people have Oscars, and Peter O'Toole does not. It's kind of really interesting. I'm not really fan of like period pieces, like old time, like England. But Peter O'Toole and Katharine Hepburn's performance in this movie makes it as good as it does. There's a character in this is one of the most annoying characters I've ever seen in film. Like rivals Alf, the character from Battle of the Five Armies that gets a bigger part from the second. I don't remember that character's name off the top of my head, but yeah, rivals him as annoying in this movie. But overall, Anthony Hopkins versus Peter O'Toole basically is fantastic. And when Hepburn and Peter O'Toole have showdown moments in that movie, top tier acting. Great movie. It's a little long, but I would definitely recommend it if you haven't checked it out. It's acting, and that's Hepburn won an Oscar for it. But Peter O'Toole got to stand on the sideline and cheer on her. So, things happen.
Joe.
Yeah, I've seen. Sorry?
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I watched this movie for the first time as well earlier this year. I watched it as part of my video store watch challenge as a movie nominated for Best Picture. And yeah, pretty much what Cody said, the showdowns, the verbal spars between Katharine Hepburn and Peter O'Toole are legendary, and not just them, but also all the other actors like Anthony Hopkins and Timothy Dalton also in an early role here in this movie as well. I've only seen this and Oliver from the Best Picture nominees, but this is definitely better than Oliver, in my opinion.
Jake.
I unfortunately have not seen it, but Payson or Joseph, could you remind me, is this John Wayne's Oscar win this year? Or was that
No, it was Cliff Robertson for Charlie.
Charlie. Okay. So
Uncle Ben.
As somebody that's seen Charlie, Peter O'Toole should have won it. I promise you that.
I have not seen The Lion in Winter, but I've seen Charlie, and that is what we like to call a yikes performance.
Yes.
Would not fly today.
Not at all.
No. I also have not seen it, so there you go. All right. I will go next. My watching this week was a little, I don't know, out there. I didn't watch like a ton of stuff. Everything I watched was a lot of like random rewatches while I was editing or stuff like that. But a new watch that I did get to is one that I've been looking forward to ever since the credits rolled on this man's last film in 2019. That is The Northman.
Let's go!
The Northman. So here's the thing about this. I love Robert Eggers, right?
Yes.
Big fan of The Witch, which is still probably my favorite of the three of his films. Really liked The Lighthouse, but this movie, I wanted to come out of it saying like 5 out of 5. This was going to be my favorite movie of his. It doesn't quite hit there. There's some lulls in the movie that I get why they're there, but without getting into spoilers, like there's stuff that happens. It's like, okay, I understand why you're putting this here, but this movie could have been like 15 minutes shorter, I feel like. But at the same time, like I was just in like absolute awe the whole time because the attention to detail in this thing is so fucking crazy. I told Maggie straight up, she was like, I want to see it. And I was like, great. And I told her straight up, like, I'm going to go see it without you because, like, I want to see it as soon as possible. But then we will go see it again. And I walked out and I told her, I said, you are not going to like this movie. Like, straight up, Maggie, you are not going to like this movie. And she's like, fair. I'll wait for the Blu-ray. So I really want to go see it again and bring her with just to, like, mess around with her. But also, like the movie X, I just know that the whole time she's going to sit there going, ew. So, like, I don't know. But I was a big fan. Like, I thought Skarsgård was really good. This was one of the better performances I've seen from him. Anya Taylor-Joy, as always, is a goddess. We should protect her at all costs. And yeah, I thought just like the story was riveting and the action was awesome. Volcanoes are fucking cool, man. I don't know what to tell you. Like, put two guys in a volcano fighting each other, like I'm there for it. So yeah, big fan, but didn't love it as much as I really, really wanted to. So Payson, I know you saw this. What'd you think?
Yeah, this was one of the movies I was considering talking about today. I'm very happy we got the opportunity to talk about this. This is one of my most anticipated movies of the year, and for the most part, it really, really held up. I don't like it quite as much as The Lighthouse, but that was one of my favorite movies of the 2010s, so, like, I understand not going quite to that level, but yeah, I just love how just visceral and raw this movie felt, just like how Tim said. I think Robert Eggers did a really good job of combining both, like, the super hardcore, like, blockbuster action and, like, the super, like, existential, like, indie drama and combining it into one movie. Like Spence said, I think Kidman has the scene of the movie. Like, there is a scene in this movie where it's like, holy shit, in my eyes, you probably just locked onto my supporting actress list just from just one scene. She's so good. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a certain body part of Willem Dafoe's that you get to see, and it's insane that, like, damn, that's just flat on camera. And without spoiling anything, top 5, maybe top 3 death scenes of all time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Cody, are you interested in this movie?
Like, this is why Payson should be traded to Jack of All Trivia, like 100%. Like, you just literally had to talk about Defoe. I'm not saying, but I'm pretty sure you weren't talking about his big toe. Like, ridiculous to me. But you're an idiot. But here's my thing. The Witch I hated. The Lighthouse definitely hated.
Ooh.
So I saw the trailer and I said, man, this looks sweet. And then I saw who directed it. And I said, man, this is not what this movie's going to be at all. So I just am not going to go see it at all.
I think you'll like it more than those other two.
I would agree.
I mean, probably, but at the end of the day, I'd rather
it's still weird. It's still got the Robert Eggers stuff.
Well, yeah, because Willem Dafoe had to show his penis. Like, ooh, everybody look forward to it. It's in there.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, yeah, nothing at all.
Joseph, did you see it?
I have not, but I really love The Witch. Lighthouse was decent. I didn't love it quite as much, and I would be interested in watching this movie. I just haven't yet.
Jake, I know you watched it. What do you think?
Oh hell yeah! I love the movie. It's weird because Eggers, I think he's a fantastic filmmaker, but he's not like a filmmaker that I love. Like, he hasn't made that one movie that just exceeded like all of my expectations and just made me go, yeah, this is the next guy. But I do think he makes great movies. I can't deny that. I really like The Witch. The Lighthouse, I think, is just so fascinating of a film. But I think The Northman might be my favorite. I just would, and I said this in my review, but I remember seeing the trailers, and then it wasn't until like a couple of weeks ago that I just realized that the budget is $90 million. Like, I just did not think that Eggers, that anyone would give him like that much money, especially after like the small films that he made with The Witch and the Lighthouse. Like, I just did not think that would ever happen, especially his third film. So the fact that we get to see like what he can do with that budget and how gorgeous it looks, it's so incredible. It's one of the most, it's one of the most beautiful films that I've seen in like the last few years or so. I really love the story, and I really love how it's just like, it is the most hardcore, brutal movie like of the year, and it's just like it doesn't hold anything back. You see everything for what it is, and I really love the way that Eggers he always has such a keen attention to detail when it comes to making his like period piece films. And there's just, even though I'm not really that familiar with Norse history and what was going on back then, it's just, you feel like everything has a reason and an intention. I think it's just, one of the best, like, well-made movies of the last few years.
All right. Joseph, let's go to you. Your favorite movie you logged this week.
My favorite movie that I logged this past week was a rewatch. It's a movie that I've talked about on the Your List Sucks episode of Time Capsule Movies. If you want to go to see my more thoughts about that movie, also go check that episode. It's a rewatch of a 1969 political crime thriller called Z, and this movie is this movie was made in 1969, but it does not feel like it was made in 1969. The fluidity of the camera editing and the cinematography makes it feel like it's decades ahead of its time, if you ask me. It's about it's set in, so The director of this movie, if you don't know about it or haven't gotten to that YLS episode, this movie was made by I believe he's Greek. He's a Greek director, Kostas Gavras, who made it to reflect the government the government regime that was happening in Greece at the time. So they never explicitly stated until maybe the end that this movie takes place in Greece, but it's meant to reflect how the government is trying to cover up a politically motivated murder of the opposing political party leader, and then the ensuing investigative procedure that comes from that murder. And it's just fabulous, if you ask me. It's in French, and it's so great. The themes in this movie are very timely. The tension is very palpable, and the ending hits really, really hard for me. If you get a chance to see it, I highly, highly recommend it.
Jake?
I have not seen it. I know a bit of it, but I didn't know the full context of the movie, but it does sound interesting.
Also have not seen it. Payson?
I vaguely heard of it, but I have not seen it.
Cody? Did Cody see it, Joseph? Do you remember?
He said that he didn't want to watch it for a while less because he was in a bad mood. But honestly, you should watch. Honestly, I think if you were mad watching this movie going into, it wouldn't change a thing, because this movie is going to make you mad anyway, because you see the lengths that some of the government officials do in order to try to cover up their stuff, and to have the gall to do the things that they do just makes me also mad. So
maybe when I'm at my angriest, I'll watch it, get mooring, and then schedule a meeting with Boatman to talk about Warzone things.
Good idea. Sounds like a good idea. Jake, let's go over to you. Your favorite movie log this week?
This is really tough. I've been watching a lot of good movies, but some of them haven't been the best. You know what? I'm the ultimate chaotic evil choice right here. I'm going with just one of the best So Bad It's Good movies ever. I'm going with Birdemic, Shock and Terror from 2010. James Wynn's magnum opus. It's great to watch this movie. It's better when you're watching it with other people like Michael Campbell, Zach Ford, and Scott Harvey. And it's just really, it's so bad. It's really bad, but the entertainment I get from it is unlike a lot of other movies. Rod and Natalie are two of the worst written, worst acted characters in the history of film. I mean, if people who don't know, it's birds attack for no reason, and they look like CG stock, just and then it's the same shot of them dying as being shot from the sky. Everything is wrong. Literally every part of the movie is wrong, from the editing to the score to the acting to the production to the visual effects. But I just have so much fun watching it. I've seen it a few times now. It's best to watch it with friends because you get the best kind of engagement from the movie. It also just opens with a guy just walking in the street, just strolling, just nothing but time, looking like he's being filmed on camera, and he's very nervous about it. And I just think it's hilarious. It's so funny. I love this movie, and I think it's great in a bad way.
I don't like watching movies that are bad for fun like this. So let me rephrase. There are movies that are bad that I like. Halloween 2007 is the one I always go to. Movie's terrible. I love it. Love that movie. But your Birdemics, your Sharknadoes, your Jurassic Planets, I think that was the Jacoby one. All of those. I'm sorry, but nah, don't do it for me. Not a fan. So I think I saw this. It could just be that it was talked about so much when it came out. But I honestly don't remember. But no, not for me. Payson.
Yeah, I think if someone has never seen a movie before, never seen it, and you show them this movie, they might think it's good. That's the only possible way I could honestly see anyone thinking that this movie is good. But no, like Jake said, this movie is hilarious. Some of the worst effects I think you'll ever see in a movie. And yeah, if I could thank anyone, John Jafari, also known as JonTron, did a review for this movie, and that is how I discovered this movie.
Cody.
I just love that Jake was sitting there and brought up Birdemic, and then you said 2007's Halloween.
I was just surprised by that choice by Tim. I just would not have thought that would have been.
It shows this community. I've went on a rant before about this community that they're just like, they have their own opinions and they will hold them so high and throw rocks from their ivory towers on the people that like modern cinema that doesn't move the needle or doesn't do anything interesting, but then will come on a show and say, my favorite movie I logged this week. So you know what? It all comes back around. So yeah, no, I will never watch a Sharknado. Never. I avoid bad movies if I have to. If I'm completing stuff for like filmographies and stuff, I'll try, but I will not seek out Birdemic for any reason whatsoever.
Joseph.
Jake brought a movie that's the ultimate guilty pleasure for him. Watch him say that his least favorite movie he logged this past week is a movie that is so great, but he just can't relate to. So he can't say that he likes it. But yeah, I haven't seen this movie. To answer your question, Tim, about the Jacoby movies that he's written, Jurassic Hunt and Jurassic Galaxy.
Galaxy. I said, what did I say? Planet?
Yeah.
Come on, you have to be bigger than that.
Love you, Jacoby, friend of the show. Hey. Okay.
Yes,
so,
Jacoby.
We are going to move on to our least favorite movies that we've vlogged this week. Payson, let's kick it off with you.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a new DreamWorks movie that came out this week. Okay. It's called The Bad Guys. And I realized, you know what? There's one that I've heard people talk about that I've never seen. It's called Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron.
I thought you were going to pick The Bad Guys. I was like, what did The Bad Guys do to you?
I have not seen it. I am seeing it tonight.
I'm seeing it tomorrow. So
that sounds fun. I watched Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron. This movie's a bore. Like, it's just a flat... Okay, I'll get the positive out of the way first. Looks very nice. And the score, keywords on the score, is very nice to listen to. Other than that, kind of a bland story. Matt Damon voices a horse. He doesn't really like talk. You just hear the horse's inner thoughts through like Matt Damon. I'm guessing like it's like a Being John Malkovich thing, but like he goes into the mind of a horse. Pretty cool. But yeah, he's just like he gets separated from his horse family. A like Union general comes and like kidnaps him and starts training him, and like it's just boring. And like if I'm being honest, this movie would probably be like a 2.5. But what drops it down to a 2 stars? The thing everyone talks about, and we're going to talk about today. Bryan Adams. God-awful soundtrack. I don't quite get the visceral reaction like Boatman does, but this man's voice sounds like he has been just taking like years of black tar heroin through his tongue and just like has the scratchiest tone ever. Like the songs don't sound that good. The song Get Off My Back, which is the only one I can really like remember. It's a funny sequence, but the song sucks. Get Off My Back is probably something Kirk said to Sean when he went to go team up with Barr. But
I also said it to you before I beat you.
That's fair. Yes, you did. You did. Yes, very true. But yeah, Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron, very boring movie, made even worse by a bad Bryan Adams score.
I just want to say the views and opinions of Payson Johnson do not reflect that of Multiplex Entertainment. I would also like to say that I'm glad Boatman's not here right now because he wouldn't have known how to handle that. Holy shit. This movie sucks.
Yeah.
I don't have any feelings about Bryan Adams. I just hate the movie. Is it a bad soundtrack? Sure. Doesn't matter because the rest of the movie also sucks. Matt Damon is speaking to me through the eyes of a horse, and that one got Maggie. It freaks me out. The movie's just fucking weird, and I don't love it. I do want to say though, there are 2 people in this community on Letterboxd that have this rated at 4 stars. One is now in the Schmodown. And one is not in the Schmodown, but is not currently playing. Can we guess who these 2 people are? One of them is Robert Parker. Good job, Maggie. Robert Parker gave this a 4-star and said, I am unashamed in my love for this movie. He logged it on July 14th, 2019. The other person, can we guess who it is? Someone who is not in the Schmodown, but also has stepped away from playing. Cody, you're looking.
Well, yes, but I have two. There's two that
I have a guess.
There's actually 3 other players.
Oh.
Is this person pursuing a career in grappling and jumping off ropes?
Yes, they are.
Nico Bergoli.
Nico has it at a 4-star.
Lucas Schilbach.
Follow him on Letterboxd.
Lucas Schilbach, Jack Pinchuk, and Albert all had it at 4.
Oh, to be fair, I was just looking at reviews. Yes, that is true. They all have it at 4 as well. Nazario has it at a 3.5, which is nuts to me.
Yeah, but then we'll come to you. Then we'll come to you at something and say 2 stars. Huh, too low. What?
No.
Yeah,
so I'm asking you, please do not rewind this video.
Cody, your take.
One, I find that one of the dumbest comments ever uttered was this would be a 2.5 stars, but the soundtrack is what drops it for you. The music is not that bad. I'm really glad that the Kingsman cut you a check. Like now you're like a fully into the Kingsman. You can have the same take as Boatman. Soon you'll be talking about the same movies. You'll be obsessing over the same stuff. So it will happen to all Kingsmen. It normally does.
Talking about the world's end, after all.
Koho used to have original thoughts. He doesn't have them anymore. You did bring up a hate for Boatman and a movie that Cam loves, so you're fitting in nicely. I'm proud of you. Also, the words that he says does not affect movie Warzone in any way. I'm looking for a new writer and host for certain matches coming forward. But other than that, this movie is one of the most forgettable movies ever. If this holds any thought or like anger towards you, like Boatman has towards like his music, is crazy to me. I remember watching it and I was like, oh, there's a reason why I should step away from fandom, and I did. So yeah, other than that, I have nothing against this movie. My kids don't even like it, so it's an easy, we don't have to watch it in my house, so it's plus.
Joseph.
Oh, Kurt, oh Lord.
Bryan Adams is not the problem. Hans Zimmer's score was, when I was a kid, when I had not seen that many movies, just a lot of animation, Hans Zimmer's score, I really, really loved as a kid. And I still like now. I think it has that epic feel that he makes before he went into making a bunch of noises after the 2010s. That said, the last time I rewatched it, I think I was 17. Yeah, it does not hold up well. I agree about Matt Damon's narration. The story definitely does not hold up that well in regards to how interested or invested in it I am with it. It's just there. I'm just there for the music there, and yeah, not a great movie, but the music's not the issue.
Jake.
When I was really young, I thought the title of the movie was Spirit Stallion of the Cinnamon. I don't know why I thought that. I was a bad speller.
You got a that's fair from the
it already made it a better movie. Should have been the title.
To be fair, I haven't seen this movie in like 15 years. I saw it all the time when I was a kid, but I don't even know I can have an opinion about the movie, because I'm a very different person than I was 15 years ago. I remember liking the animation, some of the ideas is cool, but like it's a movie that I saw a lot as a kid, but I haven't seen since. So will it hold up when I watch it again? If I ever do, maybe. Who knows? I do like Bryan Adams. Run to You is like one of my favorite songs ever, but I cannot even remember the music from this movie.
All right, Cody, let's go to you. Your least favorite movie you logged this week.
So I can go through a few choices on this, but I will save everybody because I really don't want to hear the other people talk about them. So that's why I'm not going to choose them. Because I could have done like Barton Fink. I could have done that movie's garbage. I could have done
oh my God, no.
The Lego Movie. I could have done that one because that movie's still absolute trash and garbage. Everything is not awesome, and I stand by it. Movie's garbage. I hate giving it any spotlight, but I'm probably going to go with it. I'm going to do Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. So I just rewatched all these just to help everybody. No one has anything from YLS coming up from this movie. It was for something filmed that's not released yet. So basically, what I'll say is
Keep an eye out on Thursday, May 5th. Oh,
it will be. So basically, I went through and watched them. I skipped the fourth one because the fourth one is by far the worst Pirates movie for me. I just have no desire to ever watch that movie again. It completely flips. But this is the one that got me back into Pirates because of the trailer. And I think Mark Ellis was also a problem with this at the time because Mark Ellis had me sold on like zombie sharks. And we were like, this is going to be sweet. Like, just go check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun. The most disappointed I've ever been in a summer blockbuster. Don't worry, it won't make the list. It had Javier Bardem like entering and like top tier actor. You're thinking, okay, get the villain back, see where we're going. Nope, still phoned and stuff. He's kind of a pussy this entire movie. He doesn't do anything. He just stares at Johnny Depp. It's like, I wish I could kill you, but apparently I'm a ghost and I can't do those things. It's kind of weird. Even though they kill a lot of people in this movie, but they never can kill Johnny, which is crazy. The boat like opens up and like eats things because we killed the Kraken because that was a great cinema move. So they that happens. They can bring stuff back to the life. It's got so many cool concepts, but it's the most dull movie. It's so dull. It has none of the magic of the first two movies, and even parts of the third one. And it's just an utter disappointment. I was so bored watching it. It lasts for way too long, and especially as Salazar enters and talks about like how death, and he does the line which is one of the worst delivered lines in history. I would do it myself, but a dead man tell no tales. I was like, oh, said the title, shoot me. But yeah. Terrible. And they put Barbosa in all this like terrible I think that's a part of the fourth one too, but he's like all dressed up and it's so bad. Yeah. Terrible movie.
I cannot fathom how people watch this and don't think it's worse than the fourth one. Cody says it. Koho is like, fourth one's the worst thing ever. Fifth one's not bad. I don't know what movie people are watching. Like, I get that Cody still thinks it's bad, but I've seen this movie. You know what? I'm gonna look. I have seen this movie.
To be fair, they're separated by half a star.
I have seen this movie 7 times, and I could not tell you what happens in this movie. I have no fucking clue. This is, without a doubt, one of the worst big budget adventure summer movies ever made. I fucking hate this movie. The fourth one is better. I'm sorry, it is. Ian McShane as Blackbeard is more entertaining. I'll take that over Davy Jones 2.0 with the like same fucking shit. You have young Will Turner. They try to bring back Will Turner, like fucking Orlando Bloom being there. They make the one chick from Maze Runner, Barbosa's daughter,
Kaya Scoladario.
Yeah, it's
King's daughter. Let's go.
It's
She's
fucking
Barbosa.
Stupid. It's so dumb.
They do this later in a Star Wars thing and name somebody else the daughter of somebody.
Yeah, it's just so stupid. And they like try to give backstory to like. There's a whole sequence where like, you see how Jack got his compass and stuff. It's like I don't need these things.
So,
like it's just
you
dumb.
Do remember some stuff.
So I do remember some stuff, but.
Gotcha.
My point, I don't remember what the like MacGuffin is. Like I don't remember what they're after.
Trident.
What
the Trident?
The Trident, sure, the Trident. And I just remember the last time not the last time I tried to watch this, but the time before. It was when Knights of Ren was going to play Mischief Managed for the title. We were challenging for the title. And I said, I have to brush up on Disney live action. Like I just need to do it. And so Maggie and I watched all 5 Pirates films over the course of like a day. It was like we watched like the first 2 on like Friday night, woke up Saturday morning and watched the last 3. And I remember we got halfway through this one and I looked at Maggie and I said, if I lose on a question from this movie, I don't care. I'm not watching the rest of it. And we turned it off. You know how many bad movies I've watched for fandom fights? I just don't understand how anybody can look at this and
You're
say,
dramatic.
it's okay, it's fine. I fucking hate this movie. Oh,
No, it's a 1 star. The other one's a half star for me. I think they're both bad, but I think overall,
I think they're both 1-star movies.
what hurts this one is 4 takes it off the rails. 5 was supposed to bring it back, and they failed on that. They took for the original trilogy and bombed on the 4th one so bad, and Johnny is not even Captain Jack in this movie at that point. And then, yeah, I agree. They're both
they're literally they literally rip off the heist from Fast 5 in the opening scene.
Correct.
They pull a bank through a Caribbean town, and I'm like, we've seen a lot of crazy shit in these movies, bro. You fucking kidding
If you had to tell, if I watch Pirates, if it wasn't for the thing on Friday, I'm watching the first 2 Pirates and I'm watching nothing else. I don't want to watch any of the other ones. That's how I feel. So I'm with you, but this is the worst. This is the second worst.
Payson, go ahead. Sorry.
The first 2 Pirates movies are great. Everything after the rest are shit, in my opinion. The only other thing I remember from this movie that wasn't brought up is I think the one scene I enjoyed, there's this funny scene where Jack's about to get executed and it just keeps spinning around and around and he's almost about to get executed and he doesn't get it. It makes more sense visually. I'll just say for the record, fuck Brendan Thwaites. We tried to make him an actor. Bitch can't act. Gods of Egypt.
Isn't he Robin?
Yeah, Robin on Titans. Gods of Egypt.
I've never watched the show. So
The Giver. Go away. I'm happy you're gone. Guy isn't good. But yeah, this isn't a good movie.
Didn't know you had that much hate for him. Joseph, Pirates 5.
It's crazy. The amount of hate for he joined in. It was like, what?
Trying to make a star out of someone who's not a star. Go away.
Yeah, this movie has a lot of things that are pretty wild, pretty crazy, crazy for the series. That said, I felt on rewatching On Stranger Tides that movie was more uninteresting the last time I rewatched it. I've only seen this once, so of course that could change. But yeah, for now, I would rather watch this over the kinda dull on Stranger Tides movie for me. It's not great. It's not even better than At World's End, but I don't think it's as bad as On Stranger Tides.
Jake?
I don't know. This is a bad movie. But I kind of just don't know. I just don't understand why they made the choices that they made with certain characters and the plot exactly, and just I don't know. What did they do right with the first Pirates movie that the others? I mean, I haven't seen Dead Man's and At World's End in a while, but what have the sequels not done to capture that kind of that fun adventure that made the first one so well loved? And I don't really understand why. And I think they took the wrong notes on the wrong ideas from why it was successful, and they just kept going crazy and crazy. Especially the character of Jack Sparrow. In Dead Men Tell No Tale, he's essentially a caricature of the character from the first film. We forget that Johnny Depp got an Oscar nod for the first movie, and now he's just playing drunk Uncle Hillbilly. I don't get what his direction was and how it kind of devolved as the series goes. Yeah, there's some ideas that are kind of cool, but I haven't seen the movie since 2017. I don't want to really watch it. I might, because I watched the first one a week or two ago. I might go through and watch all of them again. But yeah, I do kind of like Javier Bardem a little bit. He's kind of funny. Jack Sparrow, you fight it for me, Jack Sparrow. I just find it kind of funny, but other than that, it's not that great.
All right. We'll move on to my pick. This is actually the only movie I gave lower than a 3-star rating to this week. So by proxy, I kind of have to give it to it's a movie I watched today. I've been going through Ridley Scott's filmography. I hit 1492, Conquest of Paradise. This is a 2.5-hour Christopher Columbus film directed by Ridley Scott.
Oh, I thought the guy who directed Harry Potter.
No. Christopher Columbus.
All I do is I scour through Chris Columbus's filmography to find a 2.5-hour movie.
Chamber of Secrets.
I was going to say
2.5 hours.
Bicentennial Man? Is that 2.5 hours?
Yeah, the first two are both over 2.5 hours. Anyway, it's okay. So taking aside the historical liberties that they took, I'm not an expert, so I can't speak to those things. So I can't sit here and say, well, they just totally got Christopher Columbus wrong. I don't know. I genuinely don't. But looking at the movie that was put before me, I was just bored to tears for 2.5 hours. There are some interesting things that happen. Some of the action sequences are like pretty to look at. The score is actually pretty good, is one of the best parts of the movie. But overall, it's just there's nothing interesting that really happens in the movie at all. I always fuck up his name. What is his name?
Gerard Depardieu.
Yeah, there you go. He's trying to be Spanish, but he's like French and English and Spanish all at once. Like, I don't know, man. It didn't work for me. It's not my least favorite Ridley Scott movie I've watched so far. I'll say that because I think the production design and stuff like that are actually pretty good. But yeah, no, this not the worst from him I've seen so far, but I mean, I don't know, just nothing I ever really want to watch again. So, Payson, have you seen this?
I have not. Maybe I'll watch it one day. Sounds kind of interesting, but your review was not glowing, so meh.
Cody.
You're a film apologist, so if you give it 2 stars, whoo, you're entering the 1.5 range for me. So, nope, not interested. I actually didn't know when you said this the other night when we were on call, and you said I have this to watch, and I thought you meant Master and Commander: Far Side of the World. Really, and I know that's not Ridley Scott, but I'm like, that's what I thought you said. So when I looked this up, I'm like, I've never even heard of this film. So, yeah, but nah. No,
Joseph, I know you've seen it.
Yeah, I have seen it. It's been a while, but yeah, I have seen it. Hey, Tim, what if I told you that this wasn't the only Christopher Columbus movie from 1992?
I heard the Superman people made a movie too. The people.
What if I told you that other one is worse regarded than this one?
Oh, Jesus.
It's called Christopher Columbus: The Discovery. And if you read a little bit more about it, Tom Selleck won a Razzie for Worst Supporting Actor for this movie. And he got presented his Razzie at Chevy Chase's talk show. And he asked people to blow raspberries at him for receiving the Razzie for that other Christopher Columbus movie.
Damn.
Yeah, this movie has one of the weirdest exchanges between Gerard Depardieu and Sigourney Weaver, who's really unfortunately miscast as Queen Isabella. It makes me sad that this is the last movie that Vangelis gave composed a score for in film. I really wish he would come back because his score honestly saves the movie from being just a total dumpster fire for me. Yeah, he's done some great scores. I really wish he would come back, but yeah, this is not great.
Jake.
I haven't seen the movie, but back in 2014, around that time, I had a phase where I would just listen to the scores of movie. I wouldn't listen to songs. I would just listen to scores. And I eventually got to the theme of Conquest of Paradise. And that Vangelis theme, oh my God, is fucking beautiful. It almost made me want to watch the movie, but I really loved that piece of music so much that I would just listen to it all the time. And every now and then I'll go back and listen to the theme, but it's not a movie that I really have any interest of seeing, unfortunately. Yeah. I guess. Right. Maybe fortunately.
Okay. Joseph, let's go to you. Your least favorite.
I watched for the feature presentation 2022 Watch Challenge a category of movies set in space. And the movie that I watched was a movie that I've been wanting to watch for a while, but I've been told that it's kind of a mixed bag from Mel Brooks. But when I watched it, I'm like, if this is a mixed bag from him, I'm like, I don't know. I don't like Spaceballs. 1987 Spaceballs is kind of dumb. It's really cheesy. Cody's face.
Fucking garbage. Thank you. Oh, yeah.
Princess Vespa, the actress playing Princess Vespa, Daphne Zuniga, is unbearable in this movie. Her dialogues are awful. Some of the jokes you can see coming from a mile away, and instead of laughing when they hit, I feel like I'm just really you're gonna make a stupid reference to the Planet of the Apes. Oh my gosh, you really are. You really are. You're not. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this movie didn't make me laugh that much. Oh, two things that I did think were okay. The opening and closing music. Those music selections where they're like doing the Star Wars mocking, and also the panning of the large spaceship with a Jaws mocking theme. Those were all right. Those were all right, but those are just at the beginning and the end. There's a whole bunch of middle that I don't like. Yeah, not a fan of this movie.
This movie is a goddamn classic. This movie is fucking amazing. Hello, my baby. Hello, my ragtime gal. I love this movie so much. God, it's so funny. I know Cody hates it and hates me for it. It doesn't. I guess I don't know. I don't know Joseph's tastes enough to say whether I'm surprised or not that he liked it or didn't like it. But I love it. I love the Planet of the Apes joke at the end. What is it coming out of her nose? Baseballs. Well, shit. There goes
the planet.
It's so funny. The radar, sir. It's been jammed. All that shit. Fucking great. It has one of my favorite scenes in a spoof comedy, which is the I know how we can find them, sir. Spaceballs on VHS. What do you mean? We're gonna watch the movie. What do you mean? We're requesting?
And then they show that they own all of Mel Brooks' VHS movies.
Yeah, instant cassette. Oh, it's fucking great. I love this movie. Yogurt, top tier sci-fi character. Yogurt. I quote this movie a lot actually when I say, the Schwartz is as big as mine, or whatever he says. Like,
let's see, your Schwartz is as big as mine.
Your Schwartz is as big as mine. Oh, our Schwartz got twisted. Yeah, like, fucking love this movie. I don't give a fuck. Maggie hates it. I've made her watch it twice, and she's not a fan. But no, I'm a big fan. Princess Vespa is S tier damsel in distress. You got their what is it? You got their stunt doubles. Just fucking perfect. Love it. Payson.
Yeah, so do I think this movie is one of the greatest comedies of all time? I would not go that far. However, the way how some people in this community react around this movie, you think that they watched Jack and Jill and they saw the title card for Spaceballs, the way how people react to this movie. Like, the overcorrection that some people have made has made this one of the most underrated movies of all time, as far as I'm concerned. Like Tim said, this movie is endlessly quotable. The combing the desert scene is one of the funniest visual jokes of all time. You think it's just going to be like a stupid, like, okay, they're combing the desert. Oh, that guy has a pick. And just the way how
we ain't found shit.
It's so good. I'm going to show you that evil is better than good because good is dumb. It's so funny. When they're trying to escape at the end, and Rick Moranis is just like, fuck. Even in the future, nothing works. Like, and that's life. Like, even today, like, I try to work on my computer and, like, nothing works. So, like, Mel Brooks was kind of, like, predicting the future. The fact that there's a Hut character instead of Jabba the Hutt, it's literally, like, Pizza the Hut, which is an underrated pizza chain. More people need to try out Pizza Hut. Does not get the credit it deserves. But, yeah, like, I love John Candy. Like, I don't physically think I can hate something with John Candy. Man was a national treasure. And yeah, like, I would not put this on, like, the Young Frankenstein Blazing Saddles level, but it's, like, right below there. And the people that hate it, like, I feel like they watch Biodome. Like that's another one where it's like, did you watch Biodome? Did you watch Holmes and Watson? Like, What happened?
Cody.
Payson, do me a favor and just don't talk about films ever again. Because to say that because we don't like this. Wait, did you watch Biodome? Both are shit. Just to let you know. Both movies are terrible. And to watch everybody on this call try to quote this movie and try to make it funny was like trying to watch Barr quote things on YLS. It was miserable, horrible time. Spaceballs is basically the movie for me is like airplane food. Sucks, doesn't it? Like you're trying to be that funny guy and just trying to rib, and it's awful. It falls apart. Spoof comedies are one of those things that should be shot into space and like
now yes, like
no airplane,
classic,
Spaceballs, Tops, all those movies. Get rid of them. Stop. Like I don't understand it. You guys have very low. So should do Payson because he treats us like, have you watched Holmes and Watson? Listen, have you watched real comedy? Like,
I have.
There's something about delivery. There's something about delivery and timing, and there's stuff like that. And this movie is just, hey, let me make a reference to this. I hope you giggle as much as I did. And the thing is, Mel Brooks is a very funny guy, and he fell flat on this one. It is one of the weirdest ones that people like still love to this day. Like, I find it so, like, odd. I think it's so bad. It's a waste of John Candy. It's a waste of Rick Moranis. And it's like basically building a baseball team with all-star comedy actors, put them out there and watch them just fall on their face. It's miserable. Trying to pull a laugh out of me in this movie is very difficult. Very difficult.
Amazing. It's the same combination I have in my luggage. Jake.
So funny.
Oh, my God.
That got you? See?
No, I didn't.
He was kidding.
Wow.
I think the movie's funny. This is funny. I like this movie. I think it's a perfect parody of Star Wars. The same way like Galaxy Quest is a perfect parody of Star Trek. Like it's not just doing it to just deconstruct the idea. It's doing it as both a deconstruction of the franchise, but also in celebration.
Did you just put this on the same level as Galaxy Quest?
I would.
I hope you bite your tongue off in the middle of the night and swallow it. What are you doing? You should be able to talk in this community.
I love that their ultimate weapon is the Statue of Liberty, but it's a mod. It's the cleaning lady that sucks the air of the planet. I think that's just genius. Suck. That shit's just so funny. The teleporter that Mel Brooks uses to just get to the other room, and he's like, I'm just going to take the door. Why can't I see my ass?
Why didn't anybody tell me my ass is this big?
There's just so many great jokes. The opening shot of the ship and just it goes on forever is just that's like that. I love that sort of stuff. We're not doing this for money. We're doing this for a shitload of money. There's just so many great lines that I like, and it's fun. That's what it is. I enjoy it. It's been a while, but I would like to watch it again because I think it is.
I might fucking watch this movie tonight. No joke. Okay, Jake, let's get your least favorite movie.
I mean, it's not going to be as interesting as Spaceballs discussion. Honestly, I watched it yesterday from until it's The Crow, City of Angels, the shitty sequel to the Brandon Lee classic. I had not seen it. I haven't seen any of the Crow sequels. I had seen it purely for writing reasons. I like the first Crow because it has a unique atmosphere that you just don't. At the time we hadn't really seen. I really like how it goes for kind of it's a little more violent than the other superhero movies at the time. But the sequel just doesn't know why the first one was so special. I mean, there's an aspect of it because of the unfortunate death of Brandon Lee and the kind of became a life imitating art sort of thing with that first movie. But this one, they cast some Swiss guy to play the Crow, and he has changing accent throughout the movie where sometimes he sounds American, sometimes he sounds Spanish. And I just don't really understand what this guy's deal is. He's also a director and other shit, but as far as acting goes, he just also acts in other stuff, but he's terrible as he plays a character called Ash, and he's resurrected, and then he has to try and avenge the death of him and his son. It just is really boring. The action is terrible. There's nothing exciting about the action. I mean, the most exciting thing is that he rides a motorbike across the streets. The little girl from the first movie is now grown up, and she just works at a tattoo, and she has like really nothing to do with the plot of the movie. It ends terribly. It's just it's not a fun movie to watch. I feel like the only reason why people would like this movie is that they have some sort of nostalgia reasons for it, but it's not as engaging or entertaining as the first one. So yeah, not a good movie.
I've actually never seen any of the Crow movies. I've never seen the original either. It's one of my big blind spots that I've been meaning to watch. I've been told I would like it. I just never have, but I've heard nothing but bad things about every one of them other than the first one. So does not surprise me even a bit. Payson.
I have not seen this movie. I hear it's awful. Maybe one day I'll watch it.
Joseph, what were you going to say?
Why isn't this in fandom? Because it's a comic book movie.
It just doesn't fit into any of the comic book categories we have in fandom.
I think you'd find this in like Full Metal Geek or On Tour Geek, like when they
It's not a Marvel or DC or something like that, and we don't have just like a graphic novels for non-Marvel DC stuff. So
okay,
because most of them are shit. But yeah, Cody.
Never seen The Crow. I didn't know there were sequels. So,
and Joseph.
Jake likes terrible movies, so I'm not going to watch it.
Thank you.
I haven't seen it, but I love the noir, or not noir, but the goth. That's the word. The gothic light look of the original Crow.
Cool. Okay.
The yellow Power Ranger from the original OG Power Ranger series is in this. That's like the only other actor of note. Iggy Pop as well. Iggy Pop is in it for some reason.
There you go. Okay, we're going to get into the main list, which is going to be our summer blockbusters. So, Payson, why don't you kick us off? What is your first pick for the summer blockbuster list?
I'm going to take you back to July 2008. I was 10. My brother was 8. We were walking around the mall with our grandparents. My grandparents were like, hey, do you guys want to go see a movie? They were like, hey, there's a new Batman movie out. It's kind of like those 60s shows that we've shown you. You want to go see that? I kind of knew what it was, and I was like, yeah, you guys don't know what you're talking about, but I want to see a Batman movie. And I had them take it to it. There were points where my brother was crying, so I feel kind of sad for him. But I loved it, and I still love The Dark Knight to this day. This is still probably my favorite Batman movie. Others come very close. But just seeing this at like such a young age is one of the reasons why I love movies so much to this day. I just think the energy that Nolan directs this movie is incredible. Like the car chases, I think are like maybe the peak of this movie. Like every single like chase scene I think is incredible. Ledger, everyone talks about Ledger. He's getting one of the best supporting performances ever. Like to win that Oscar, I'd say he's like probably top 5 personal winners. I just think this is a great representation of the character. I don't even hate the Harvey Dent stuff like some people do. I get that it's probably not, you probably could have done without it, but I still really enjoy it. I know everyone likes to say, oh, this is the best movie with Batman in it. And if you want to put barometers on that fair, I still just think this is just an excellent film. And I think this is a great blockbuster.
Cody, what do you think?
This is a great Joker film. It's not a great Batman film. No, I mean, sure. I mean, as somebody that refused to put Scar on the list last week, and then you pick like the most talked about movie from the 21st century. It's an interesting choice and interesting how your opinions change from week to week. The Dark Knight's great. I mean, it's been said to death. It's not my favorite Batman movie, and I haven't seen the one that makes Gotham City a character yet. I'm really excited to watch that one. But this one kind of like just took what I loved about Batman Begins and like raised the stakes. I'm one that doesn't like Aaron Eckhart as Harvey Dent as much. I think, especially at the end, I think he goes down a path that's a little annoying for me. But everybody else is firing on all cylinders, so it works. And when you think blockbuster, I think it's a correct choice. So, good choice.
Thank you,
Joseph.
Jason, I love both of your picks from last week. Don't let Cody tell you anything different.
Thank you, Joseph.
I love this movie as well. Yes, is it more of a Joker movie? Yes, but so is 1989's Batman, and there are some people that call that movie great and call this movie overrated. Ryan Permison. And this movie is, I still love it. Yes. And there's more than just Ledger that's holding it up.
Jake?
It's funny you say that about Ryan Permison, because one of my biggest hot takes ever is that I think The Dark Knight is an alright movie. My biggest problem with the movie is that it had so much fucking hype when it was coming out. The Heath Ledger's death definitely was a huge part of it. I think he's fantastic as the Joker, but just the expectations that this movie had set for me when it came out was up here. Was no opinion of mine was going to top it as far as how I viewed the movie. I thought the movie was fine, and I kind of think the movie's alright. I feel like I've been a little too harsh on it in the past. It probably would be close to a 3.5 star for me, but it's just there's just certain things that really frustrate me about the movie. I don't really like how they cut away from the violence. There's certain action scenes that I don't think are handled the best. I think the chase midway through the movie is fantastic, but the other action scenes just don't really do anything for me. I just don't really like talking about this movie because it's talked about to death. It's just one of those movies where I wish we could just close the chapter and then just move on. But I get that everyone loves the movie, and I know I'm very much in the minority on that. It's just not a movie that I connect to the same way as everyone else, which is fine. That happens.
Jake, could I ask, how old were you when this movie came out?
I was 10.
Was the hype train of movies really formulating your opinion back then at 10?
Yes, because everyone was talking about Heath Ledger and was talking about this movie.
Nice. Because he's Australian. Heath Ledger was Australian.
Perth. He's from my home city of Perth, so he's a big deal here.
Yeah, I was 13 when this came out, and it was I like the movie. I love the movie. So, but I understand where Jake's coming from with the hype because it was everywhere. I was going into middle school or coming out of 6th grade, maybe. I was 13 or was about to turn 13. So I was 12 when it actually came out, but it was everywhere, everything. I remember we went to see it at midnight, and every auditorium in the theater was playing it. It was like 1201, 1202, 1203, 1204, just onward through 12 auditoriums. And they had the whole theater decked out with TVs where people were playing the Lego Batman game and taking pictures with people that were dressed up, and it was nuts. And it didn't end for months. I remember I saw this in the theater probably 3 or 4 times, and for that to be the case at 12, if you've ever met Greg Brzakala, my father, Greg Brzakala does not watch movies more than once, and he saw this twice in the theater. And we didn't even see Iron Man twice in the theater. So it's a great movie. I agree it gets talked about way too much. It's not my favorite Batman movie. I like Batman Begins more. But I totally get it. It was an experience for sure at the time that it was coming out. It's a really, really well-made movie. It's awesome. But yeah, I also like Jake. I'm kind of sick of talking about it. So, but it makes sense for this list. So, all right, Cody.
June 10th, 1994 brought my favorite 90s action movie to the screen, and we're going where a bus cannot drop below a certain speed limit. We're talking about Speed. Speed is a movie that I hold so near and dear to my heart. It is everything. One, I've been on the record of this. How Keanu Reeves has a career is really surprising if you think about it. I do not think he's mind-blowing actor at all. I think he's just a stoner dude that found his way on the set, and they're like, we're going to cast you, and his career has taken off since, and it's great. Because how he over-exaggerates all his acting performance is just still one of dude, you would fail out of so many schools probably if you tried to act like that, but his role is perfect. I think this movie just has it takes the 90s ridiculous action action premise of a bus in Los Angeles that can't go where traffic is like insane all the time and they have to like drive through. It's just great. Dennis Hopper, I believe, Dennis Hopper is the villain, which is fantastic. So Dennis Hopper like plays a perfect guy over the phone talking about his plot and plan. And then Sandra Bullock and they're trying to get people off. Me and Mike Hanley have one of the favorites because this movie is written really bad. Like if we want to talk about how it's not written the best, there is literally a scene that I still quote to this day as like, did the party guests sign in? It's like right before they go in the elevator to begin, and then Jeff Daniels looks at him with the serious what? And they don't talk about it. They don't bring anything up. It's just one of those one-off lines that make no sense in the film, but it works. Cool action overall, like the bus jumping the scene and like trying to get people on and off, and all the different characters on the bus that play a part. And like Dennis Hopper calling over the phone, it sets up like those like Die Hard with a Vengeance and stuff like that. When you get the phone, like told you not to do that. Like it's just such an interesting concept. I love Speed. It's my favorite favorite action movie of the '90s. So yeah.
Joseph.
I like this movie. It's not my favorite 90s action movie, but I do enjoy it quite a bit. That last scene takes me out a little bit of the movie, but overall, I agree that there's a lot of very fun action scenes. That scene where that Wildcat scene and the scenes surrounding it are probably my favorite part of the movie. Yeah.
Jake.
I have vivid memories of watching this for the first time with my brother when I was like 11 or 12 on a Friday night. It was just on TV and we just watched it like, this sounds like it could be fun. And we were just so like, just staring at the screen, just the way, you just can't take your eyes off the movie. Like, cause there's so much tension with as simple as just a bus having to stay over 50 miles an hour. It's just so like riveting and engaging. And as the movie was going on, I just did not feel any sense of like bad pacing. It just goes by so fast that you're just completely surprised by the third act twist when they fight on the train. Like you just don't expect that was going to happen because of how engaging and how it just goes by so quick. I think it's a great action movie. It shows that Jan de Bont was like the 90s action guy for a while, and then he made Speed 2 Cruise Control based on a dream he had with the ship crashing into the harbor. But nah, this is a great movie, and it's like as Cody was talking about, like this is Keanu, like his start as the action guy he continues today as the action guy, but this is the film that started that. So it's still impressive today.
I saw this for the first time a couple months ago. It had been one that I hadn't seen, and it came out on 4K, so I picked up that 4K disc, watched it, and loved it. Thought it was a lot of fun. It's a movie I think that had I watched it with my wife, she would have texted the whole time because it's one of those movies that I think you're either in on it or you're not. And I enjoyed it for what it was. It's not going to be one that I like rush back to all the time, but like if someone was like, "Hey, let's watch Speed," like, yeah, fun movie. I'd watch that again. I haven't seen the sequel, but buses do buses have cruise control?
I don't even know. It's a car. It's a car thing.
Boat one. Yeah.
No, I do not believe a bus.
You've seen Speed? You don't watch movies without me.
In the 90s, I don't believe those buses would have had cruise control. To be honest with you.
That's fair. I don't think Maggie ever saw a movie before we dated.
That's not true.
I would say the only good thing about the sequel is
we were on call numerous times, and you would be gone like at work or whatever. She'd watch stuff while you were like through your Blu-ray.
Oh, she watches Netflix rom-coms without me all the time. Payson.
You should be thanking her.
Yeah. I have never actually seen Speed. It's been one I've been meaning to get to. I've heard really great things, especially from Cody and other people. I like Keanu Reeves' other two major 90s action movies, so I'm interested in this one.
Oh, you're a big Johnny Mnemonic fan, yeah?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go next. I decided that for this topic, I'm going to stick to movies that I experienced like in the summer. Like there are movies like I could talk about Jaws or like Jurassic Park or something, but I wasn't there. So I don't have that. I like those movies, but don't have that same like nostalgia for them in that way. Whereas there are some movies that just like I remember seeing in the summer, and it was an event. It was a huge thing, and that's kind of where I'm going with my list. Or for my choices. So my first pick is going to be it was July 2011. It was an incredible. Oh, Joseph's already rolling.
Oh.
I'm trying to remember. I can't even
and it was it was the event. It was the event to be at, and it was Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2.
It ends.
It ends. All they put on the poster. Don't even need to put the name of the fucking movie on the poster. Granted, you see Harry Potter on the poster, but this was the first time that I really went back and saw the same movie over and over and over again. Like I said earlier, I saw The Dark Knight twice in the theater. I saw Inception a couple times in the theater. I saw all of the Harry Potter movies at least twice, I would say, in the theater. The Marvel movies, some of them, like I saw Captain America this same summer a couple times. But this one I saw like at midnight, and then went back Friday afternoon, saw it again, saw it Saturday, saw it Sunday. Like I saw it like I think 4 times total opening weekend, and it was an experience. Like and this is gonna sound really stupid, but like I remember going in to see the movie, and I was with some friends from high school, and we saw it in 3D, and they handed us the 3D glasses that were shaped like Harry Potter's glasses. And that was just like, as I was in high school going into my sophomore year of high school, like this was the shit. And it was like, it was super impactful for me as like a Harry Potter fan, movie fan, just to be in that auditorium with a sold out crowd 4 times over the course of a weekend, experiencing the end of something that I grew up with. It was just incredible. And going beyond seeing it that summer, I think the movie holds up. I think it's one of the rare times where a part 2 or a thing that's split in half actually works as standalone movies. People say like part 1 and part 2 don't stand alone together. I think they do really well. I think part 1 is actually pretty fucking good. I think it's a pretty top tier Potter movie. But yeah, the people say this is all just like the wish fulfillment at the end and the payoff. I think there's a lot more than that here. I just love the movie. There are a couple things about it that are different from the book that I don't love, but overall, specifically the ending, and Joseph is nodding, is that where we're at? The duel at the end? Yeah. I have a big problem with, but again, it doesn't take away from the rest of the movie that I love. So yeah, Potter, Deathly Hallows Part 2. Payson.
Yeah, this is a great choice. I remember seeing this movie like you at midnight, not like a Thursday 6 p.m. showing. No, we're talking midnight, and it was awesome. No, but like if you want to know how to end a franchise, like this is a very, very good like textbook example. Like you're just bringing the culmination of everything. I love, and like something that I don't see too many people talk about, this movie takes place in a day. Like this is an all-in-one-day movie, and I think that really adds to the energy of it. Yeah, like
Same,
you said,
Sam. My reaction.
I think it's like, yeah, I think it's close. It's close.
Okay, yeah, maybe not like all in one, but
Maybe a day and a half or like a
exactly.
Much
very short time frame, especially compared to Deathly Hallows Part 1. Where
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
and the other ones because they all take place in like the whole
A
season.
year over the course.
It is the shortest of the Harry Potter movies.
Of course, yeah. To defend what they do with the duel just a little, I totally agree. What they do in the book is better. Considering what they do in the book, it would have been very hard to make that confrontation super interesting in a visual medium, and that is the only defense. But I totally get, I do like the book, what the book does more. But yeah, I think this is a really great movie. I love just the battle at Hogwarts. I'll be honest, the tears scene still hits me. I'm not defending the character of Snape. I get he's a shit person, but that scene does totally get to me. But yeah, I do really enjoy this movie.
Just because I'm a weirdo and can't let things go. To be fair, I agree with you, Payson, that it's hard to do that. Basically, so we're not beating around the bush. In the book, when Harry falls out of Hagrid's arms and is like, "Hey, I'm alive," they just basically start dueling in front of everybody, all of the students and everybody at Hogwarts. And the reason that hits so good is because everyone was like, "Oh, remember a couple years ago when we didn't believe him that he was back, and now he's like fighting Voldemort right in front of our very souls." That's kind of, oh shit, we're pretty terrible people. It's just like a cool visual thing. I think there was a way they could do the big bombastic fight that they do in the movie and still end it in front of everyone. They don't go that way. It loses a little bit of the punch there. That's what I was referring to. But I agree with you, Payson, that it would have been hard to do. Cody, your take on the movie.
What did you say about Snape?
There has been a lot of like conversation on like, hey, was Snape a good person in the end? And you can definitely see the questionable elements of that person, but I still think that is a very interesting character.
I stand by Snape's my favorite character. I don't care what a lot of people sit on. As a lot of people on the internet sit for a while and let things sit and resonate. Yeah, he's still fantastic. Fuck off. This, how I pick Speed, you're correct, Tim. As somebody that's the oldest on the panel, I believe, this was an event. To see the conclusion of this series done, and again, say what you want about the films. I honestly consider none of them bad because I enjoy something in every one of them. I enjoy the whole walk. They're, from a filmmaker standpoint, yeah, there are probably holes and problems and all, but overall, the journey I enjoy on, and as dark as it gets. And after the first one, a lot of people were like, "Oh my god, the part one was so boring." I was like, they have to set up part one to get the payoff forward too. That's what the whole thing was. But to be at the midnight showing, kind of missed that the midnight showings don't exist as much as they used to. That was something I always looked forward to, being dog tired the next day, but it was so much fun to sit there and watch it at the moment. No, but this is absolutely one of the biggest definitions of blockbuster. I remember packed theater, sitting there, the cheers, the shocks, the awes from people that didn't read the book, which still annoyed me. But I put off what you said about that. I did for the longest time just stop caring what the book did and just carry them as two different mediums at that source, because I would have been a miserable person going through them. I just like, why'd you cut this scene?
Especially like Goblet of Fire, like
yeah.
Order of the Phoenix.
Order of the Phoenix, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so you get miserable watching those. So that's why I just like, they both are beautiful in their own aspects. But like when McGonagall is like him and he's like, you might as well start saying your name. He's going to try to kill you either way. And the roar that like built from the ground of the theater up, like when she said it was just like, let's fucking go. And like just the overall battle, when Molly delivers the line and says, "Get away from my daughter, you bitch," and the cheers and the emotions that you carry through everything. I remember like when the Harry scene happens when she meets Dumbledore in the after, like the in between, and they're like, what's going on? Like it's crazy that people didn't read or whatever, and they found, which is fair, but like it was out. There should have been spoilers, but it was a beautiful time right before like internet spoilers were a massive thing too, which also helped these movies be as successful as they were, because you could have walked in the sixth one and go, Dumbledore dies? Like you would have known that way in advance before this movie. And so people were in line like, I wonder what's going to happen next. Like no one knew for it. They didn't read the book. So it was an interesting time. It was when blockbusters were really blockbuster, like when before spoilers and before news broke out, because now you get out and you open Twitter or Letterboxd and you find somebody blog and you already like, oh my God. I remember like Force Awakens when Han Solo, and they're like, it was already out there, like within like minutes of the first one releasing. So yeah, great choice. I should have honestly picked this one. That was a really good choice.
Joseph.
I did not see this when this movie came out. I actually didn't get into Harry Potter until I was in high school, high school. And it was because of the trailer that teased the Deathly Hallows, the grand finale, in 2 parts, and this made me go like, wow, that looks epic. I kind of want to read the books and then watch the movies. And because I was very young, to me the adaptations should have been, at least the crucial parts get very close to being adapted to from the book. I haven't seen a single Wizarding World film since I saw Crimes of Grindelwald in 2018 in the theater, so I'm a little rusty on the what.
We talked about this last week. There hasn't been another one.
I'm just saying I haven't seen or rewatched any of them.
Oh, I thought you meant like you haven't seen any of the new ones. I'm like, there's only one. It just came out. Okay, that makes sense.
That's fair.
But when I was younger, I did look forward to this movie because I blew through Deathly Hallows in less than a week. It was the bulkiest book of, or it was one of the bulkier ones in the franchise, and I read through that really quickly. So yeah, because of me building up a year of hype and reading that so quickly to that, I was a little disappointed by the ending of Deathly Hallows Part 2. I also blame this for giving us Breaking Dawn Part 1 and 2, Allegiance Part 1, and The Hobbit being 3 movies. So, like, yeah, I kind of blame this movie also for starting that trend. I have rewatched it since since the first time. I haven't seen it in a while, but I do remember liking it more. But yeah, not my favorite one. Still Prisoner of Azkaban, and honestly, my favorite David Yates Wizarding World film might be Order of the Phoenix on rewatch. But yeah, I like it more the second time I gave it a shot, but it's still not my favorite. But I get it.
Jake?
So I was kind of a fan of Harry Potter when I was younger. I'm not really anymore, just because I kind of grew out of it, and just fantasy sort of franchises just isn't really my thing. I'm more sci-fi franchises. But I do remember watching this at midnight, going to the midnight screening with my mom and my little brother, just being excited because we had seen the first. We saw Part 1 in the cinemas, and we were just like so ready. We watched the first one like a couple of hours before Part 2 just to get ready, which I think everyone did at the time, and just being hyped for it. It felt like Avengers Endgame, and to be, how old was I? 13 at the time. Was like a real sort of experience. Like I was 21 when Endgame came out. I'm more pessimistic and nihilistic than I was when I was 13. So to have that sort of like optimistic, like holy shit, this is the end of a franchise, was kind of was really sincere and just like holy shit, this is going to be crazy. And I remember really liking the movie when it came out. It's been a while since I've rewatched it, but it does have just this sort of closure with a lot of characters, and the way I think it ends is also really like the best way they could have. I know it's in the book, but like just the fact that we get to see them older and just like it starts again with their kids. It just goes full circle. It's perfect. I don't like how they conclude Voldemort as a character, because I feel like there should have just been a bit more to that battle. Like I know when they're flying around Hogwarts, that's cool, but like just all they do is just point their wands and say shit like this. I just wish there was a bit more cinematically speaking. Cool. But yeah, I remember really liking it as a kid. But it's been a while since I've rewatched it. I would like to watch it again as like rewatch the whole series. But yeah, it's like pretty great movie.
Okay, Jake, let's go to you next.
So I was going to pick one movie, but Tim, you said that you brought up a really good idea that the movie that you kind of connect with, that you remember watching during the summer, and I was going to pick one movie that I think everyone thought I was going to pick, but the fact is I was just a little too young to remember what that experience was like. So I'm going to go with a movie that I very much remember watching, very much excited to watch it, and it exceeded my expectations. It is Spider-Man 2.
I thought we were gonna have 2 Spider-Man movies on because I was gonna pick.
I wanted to pick Spider-Man, but you made a good point because like I was 4 when that movie came out.
I was 7. I don't remember.
My mom and dad took me to the cinema to see it, but I can't tell you what my experience was watching it for the first time. I was just a little too young. I do, however, remember watching Spider-Man 2 very much so. I remember being excited. Like, this movie is the reason why how I understood the concept of a sequel. Like, I didn't know you could make a movie with 2 at the end of the movie. Like, I didn't know that Spider-Man 2 could be a thing. I thought, you make the movie and then it's done. The fact that this was like, this broadened my horizon, so like the idea of a sequel is kind of like, it holds a special place for me. And to watch, I remember going to the cinema to see, I think Shrek 2 or like some movie before then. And seeing
Shrek
that
came out the month,
because that came out like just before.
It came out like 2 or 3 weeks before this. Yeah.
Yeah. But I remember seeing the teaser poster, like going to the cinemas and just seeing that poster. It's in my living room. It's one of my favorite posters. You just see Spider-Man's mask and you just see in his eyeglass Doc Ock. And I was just so fucking hyped. I love the 90s animated show, and seeing Doc Ock, he's one of my favorite villains, and just being hyped as hell for this movie. And watching it and just how they explore the themes from the first one and how they continue the idea of to be a superhero. And you think like with what the first movie does and how it sets up, like now he's taken the responsibilities of being Spider-Man. And in Spider-Man 2, he can't. It's like he has to be Spider-Man, but he also needs a job. He has relationships. He's trying to go to university, college, and it's just he can't do everything at once. And kind of that, he can't find that balance of being Spider-Man and Peter Parker. And I think just as a 6-year-old watching that, just that's not a concept I would have expected to have seen in a superhero movie. I thought it's all about the action and yada yada yada, like as a kid. But to see this film actually have like grown-up themes was kind of I don't want to say revolutionary, but to a 6-year-old it was. And to see Doc Ock like in live action form is the reason. That's why there has not been another Doc Ock version, because Sam Raimi perfected it with Alfred Molina. That's why they brought him back with No Way Home. You can't do anything better or different than what they did. They got it right the first time. And his character is just so fascinating. And what Raimi does is that he allows Molina to be a character, to give him a backstory. You see him as Octavius before he becomes Doc Ock. You get him as a character and why he's doing what he's doing. I just think that it really works to the movie's favor, where there is no villain of the movie. Everyone has ideas and morals and motivations that make just clear-cut sense. And just seeing it in the cinema for the first time, it's just like there are certain moments that I just will never forget, such as the train fight scene, which is one of my favorite action scenes ever. It's one of my favorite scenes ever. To watch that in the cinema and just see how these two just fight each other in these unique ways. And when Spider-Man has to stop the train, like Spider-Man saves people. Like it's great to see superheroes save people. And there are certain movies, I'm not going to name names, that don't really go into that idea of what is a superhero. And I think Spider-Man 2 like just perfectly captures that. It's one of my favorite movies ever. I love this movie. I just think it's a perfect superhero movie.
Yeah. Like you, I was 9 when this came out, and I remember going to see it with my dad, and it being like the real deal. Like we were talking about before, like with hype about like how there was like the Lego Batman video game and stuff. Like I remember they sold in the Lunchables. They had lenticular cards that had Doc Ock that would move and show that shot of him like flipping the car up right when he escapes the hospital, like shit like that. That I remember like, Dad, we need to go buy some Lunchables because I got to collect all these fucking cards. Let's fucking go. Let's do this. No, I remember going to see it in the theater, and it was transcendent. It was an experience, and very much so the way that you said. I remember seeing the first Spider-Man in the theater. I saw it with my grandpa and my dad, and I remember going, but I don't remember what I thought about the movie really, because I loved Spider-Man. So it was, but this one, I very much of what Jake said. A lot of what Jake said I relate to a lot. Just being so excited, like going to the theater. I literally the same exact thing. Seeing Shrek 2, seeing a trailer for Spider-Man 2 before Shrek 2, and being like, motherfucker, holy shit, let's go. Just like so excited. And yeah, I love the movie. It's fucking great. I agree with everything that you said about why the movie is great. Yeah, It's kind of perfect. I'm not gonna lie. Pacing.
Yeah, like Jake, I also saw this in the theater. I was 6 as well, and yeah, this movie just felt huge. Like, I felt like I was experiencing an event. I watched the original Spider-Man a lot at home as a kid, and yeah, just seeing Doc Ock and just seeing those arms on the big screen, incredible. Like, I love Alfred Molina in this movie. He knows exactly what to bring to this performance. And I think the human drama with Peter really, really works in this movie, with just like him losing his powers and him just trying to be like, man, what does it take to be a hero? Do I want to be Spider-Man? I think that works really, really well. The scene of Doc Ock just sinking down into the ocean, like, it still sticks with me to this day. Yeah, this is, I know some people like to say it doesn't hold up. I completely disagree with them. I love this movie.
One could say he had a web block. Let's go to Cody.
In the world, just normal Marvel, it's still one of the top Marvel movies that's ever come out.
Number two.
Yeah. It's just something that is just. I was old enough, like that I got dropped off, and it was a great experience overall. I'm that old, but. No, Spider-Man, there's two superheroes that rank so high, and one's not Batman, obviously. Like, it's X-Men and Spider-Man. Those were two that just, especially with the animated series of both, just helped me get fully into it than reading the comics. Seeing Spider-Man 2 for the first time, seeing Spider-Man 1 was just like, first you get X-Men that you thought could never happen, basically, and as cheesy as it is, and then Spider-Man, and then when Spider-Man 2 came out, like, I couldn't have been more pumped for this movie. And I every time it was in theater, like the time it was in theaters, we'd go like every week or every 2 weeks to theaters, and me and my friends would get dropped off, and we're like, what were we going to see? We could see Spider-Man 2 again, and we would watch Spider-Man 2 again. I don't remember the movie. I left the theater that I was watching of Spider-Man, of something else, and went into a theater of Spider-Man 2.
I'm going to find out for you.
I don't remember. It was one. I think it was one we snuck into. But overall,
Honey Darko?
No.
Princess Diaries 2?
Real Engagement?
No.
Prisoner of Azkaban?
Could have been Azkaban. It could have been Azkaban.
That came out about a month after this.
But yeah, Spider-Man 2, Doc Ock hasn't been replicated on film. Don't think they ever will, to be honest with you. I think Doc Ock is one of those interesting characters. And I know it's weird, but like when I think of like character that's from comic to live action to film, he's up there with Ledger with me with the Joker. I think it's so hard. It's going to be whoever they cast next. I'll be like, ha, that's funny. That's a terrible choice. I'll be that person tweeting, are you fucking kidding me? This person, and watch it be great. But I will be that person that will be so furious that somebody cast him. When he came back, it just shows how great it is. And yeah, great choice. Great choice. It would have been my next pick. So good choice.
Joseph, I don't need your No Way Home slander in the comments. If you're gonna bring it up, do it to my fucking face. Anyway, we're not talking about that movie. Spider-Man 2, Joseph, what are your thoughts?
I'm doing the Paul Oyama method of talking in the comments so I don't interrupt anybody when it's not my turn. Well, I already did that sometimes, so sorry. But yeah, I really enjoy this movie as well. I remember seeing Spider-Man for the first time. I don't remember exactly when, but I know how I saw it. I saw it at my grandma's house on VHS. She had the VHS, and she was like, "You want to see this movie?" And I really, really enjoyed it. It took me. I feel like it took me years later to watch the second one for some reason. And when I did watch it, I really, really, really loved it. I'm getting late. I'm realizing I got late on a lot of these blockbuster films. I didn't watch a lot of them until I was a lot older. But yeah, I really, really do enjoy this movie. Yes.
Awesome. Okay, Joseph, we're to you, I believe.
Okay, so with that in mind about blockbusters that you were there for, that struck a certain chord with you, looking at my list of movies that I wanted to talk about, I'm realizing, do I want to follow suit with everybody or just like
You do
pick
you,
something
man. This is your pick.
fair?
I didn't see Speed in the theater, by the way, just to say.
I know, but you were before Tim started that trend. But I do want to bring some variety because there was one movie that that is I want to bring some animation to the list. There was one movie that I watched that I actually did go to see in theaters, and it's definitely a lot of nostalgia for myself. But when I watched it, it was just the perfect timing for me to watch this movie to get the most out of its message. I'm going with Inside Out. This movie came out right as I was graduating high school and about to go to college, and it just struck me so hard with its message about how all the emotions have a use in your mental health and your life. And it gave me also a lot more hope that Pixar could pick up its get its act back together after some little weaker movies that they did.
Sorry.
I don't disagree. But yeah, this movie felt like a perfect return to form for Pixar for me, and that ending is one of my all-time favorite endings. And you can sit yourself down. The ending of this movie has more emotion than you could ever pull out from me. So, yeah, Inside Out is one of my all-time favorite movies ever, and it's in my top 5 Pixar movies.
Jake.
I think the movie's decent. It's been a few years since I've seen it. I don't know. I was kind of negative towards the movie when it came out because I didn't like the idea of oversimplifying the emotional concepts to kids. But I feel like I was going through a phase in 2015 where I was just all like, Inarritu's the greatest filmmaker of all time, and all these Pixar shit just sucks. Because I just seen Birdman for the first time, but I would like to.
Me too.
I
To
started
be
it was
fair.
the beginning of 2015, and I was just kind of in an Inarritu phase where he was just the only filmmaker that mattered. I just would like to rewatch this because I feel like I was just a little too harsh on this movie. I do like the animation. I think how they animate the emotion characters, specifically Joy, just because she's the main character, I think is really unique for a Pixar film. And I do like how it goes back to what Pixar was kind of doing with the 2000s, where they was kind of dealing with an emotional concept, for this case, literally, and kind of exploring kind of the ideas behind that, and just like, what can we do with this idea? And I think what Inside Out does thematically is really special.
Yeah, I love this movie. I think it's great. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to find right now the actual what the new movie is, because I know it's changed. But at the time of its release, it came out the week after Jurassic World, which, if you remember, was a huge movie, like so big. For a long, and this still made like 90 million opening weekend, but Jurassic World in its second weekend made like 180, which is just like disgusting. And for a long time, this movie was the highest grossing movie to never hit number 1 at the box office. And I believe that changed. I think Sing now has it because that came out.
I think so too. Yeah.
Force Awakens. About a year and a half later, I believe that
Rogue One, but yeah,
with Rogue One, yes, sorry. So about a year and a half later, so I think that's the new one that has that, but I'm not positive.
Looking it up right now.
Thank you. No, but I love the movie. I think it does exactly what it's setting out to do about talking about mental health and emotions in a way that is perfect for kids. And I saw this. I took my niece, who at the time, 2015, she would have been 7. And we had a blast because the movie's hilarious. And then when it gets into the emotional stuff, it was just a really special experience. And there are parts about it I don't love as much as everyone else. Like I think Bing Bong is kind of overrated, but I agree that the emotional punch of Bing Bong works. But yeah, the movie's great. It's top 10 Pixar for me, I would say. Doesn't quite crack into the 5, but it's fantastic. I wish that Soul would have been more like this. I still love Soul. I think Soul's fucking great, but I wish it would have been more like Inside Out than what we got. But yeah, big fan. Payson.
I love Inside Out. This is definitely like, I want to say my 4th favorite Pixar movie. There are only 3 that I can definitively say I like more than it. The concepts that it tackles in this movie are so adult in a way, but it brings it down to the level that kids can totally understand, but you also don't feel as if it's stupefying. Like, it's making the movie like... the movie's not talking down to you in a way. Just the idea that, no, it's okay to be sad, and sadness is necessary. I love Phyllis Smith in this movie. I saw this movie before I watched The Office, and then watching The Office and being like, oh, that's sadness from Inside Out. That's really cool. Lewis Black, I think, is hilarious as Inger. And yeah, Bing Bong, like, he's not my favorite Pixar character in the world, but damn, would I be lying if I said I did not feel emotions when he did move on, if you will. No, I just, of all of Pete Docter's movies, this is my personal favorite, and yeah, I think this is a great pick.
So, with Inside Out, I like it. I don't love it as some. I'm the grumpy old man in the group, so I'm allowed to sit down. I think when it tugs at the emotions, it's top tier, but when it goes into the slapstick goofy stuff is where it loses me. And I know it's made for kids, so like I can't take it away, but it tells a story that is insane to think about as a kid. Is basically it's okay to tell somebody that they're not okay in an animated setting, which is great because, you know, as a kid growing up, that's not what you're able to say to people. Like, they don't want to hear that. And it's okay to the joy comes with the sadness comes with joy at times. Like, it can be a happy, sad moment. Like, you know, those things do exist. And it's okay to cry, basically. And as a kid, I also loved I may be on the short, but the short version of this, I think it was Lava at the time.
Yep.
It was like a good overall experience for me. I thought it was great. I think the only problem with this movie, it loses me on rewatches more than it holds. Like, that first initial punch was insane, but other than that, doesn't hold up quite as much. Don't know where Tim is.
I'm back.
Okay.
Here. I just have to be cammed off for a minute.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so I believe that's everybody's first, correct?
Yes.
Oh, and to answer your question, Tim, real quickly, Sing does hold the record for highest grossing movie to never hit number one weekend. But
Fucking
actually,
Sing.
What?
Just that movie. Why did that have to be the one to hold that?
It had to be Sing.
Oh.
What were you going to say, Joseph?
Fun fact: Inside Out did make number one on one weekend.
It did.
Its third weekend, it beat Jurassic World for number one at the weekend box office.
I can't believe Vacation with Ed Helms didn't get up there. But that's crazy.
Around that time.
Actually, it was the weekend of Terminator Genesis and Magic Mike XXL.
Oh my god. Okay. Payson, we're gonna go to you for your second pick. Go ahead.
Ooh, I am excited. We are staying in 2015 for one of the greatest theatrical experiences that anyone ever can. I'm sorry, Jake.
Is it a blockbuster?
Oh, yes, it is. A certain Australian by the name of George Miller.
Oh, okay.
Created one of my favorite action movies of all time. Honestly, one of my favorite movies of all time. We're talking Mad Max Fury Road. There are so many ways I can tell you about how much I love this movie, the world, the visuals, the action. But my favorite thing about this movie is it completely understands what film at its core is supposed to be. You show, you do not tell. This a worse movie, a worse version of
Cody's gonna kill himself.
Yes, that is the number one thing that movies are supposed to be. You show your story, you do not tell your story. Do you realize how dumb it would be? A worse version of this movie would be like a Morton Joe would come out and be like, "Yo, my war boys, why don't you go down to this town and deliver this and the politics of this and when you go to get on those animals and they're called this." Like, no, you don't need that. You show it, and your audience will be invested enough that you will care. Everyone has talked about how incredible this movie is. Cody, I don't quite understand. Cody can be a little bitch when it comes to this movie, but you know what? He is allowed to feel that way. He can live his life. But yeah, just everything with this movie. The War Boys, maybe like some of my favorite like designs of any characters, just painted white. They're just jumping from thing to thing. Seeing that tornado in theaters, like that is one of my favorite film experiences. I like the color version more personally, Garth, just because I think that color tone is just so synonymous with that movie. And just like you explain the plot of this movie, and it's like, oh yeah, it's a 2-hour car chase, but there is so much like details packed into it. There are so many stunts that there is a reason why this movie permeates. There's a reason why this movie got a Best Picture nomination. I personally think it should have won Best Director. I'm sorry, Jake. I know you, Inuyasha is great, but like, man, this movie just overwhelms me as it honestly overwhelms so many people, and yeah, this absolutely deserves to be on here.
Okay, I know I'm in the middle, and I don't know where everyone else is, so I'll go next. I think it's currently on my Letterboxd. I have it rated at 5 stars because I saw it in the theater and thought it was incredible. But here's the thing. Like Harry Potter, when I picked it, and like my other pick that I'm going to say, I continue to love the movie at home. I don't love this movie at home. I've never seen the chrome and white version, so I can't say whether or not that is good or bad. But my thing with this movie, I love the action. There's nothing to really grab onto story-wise, so you kind of rely on that. And like, again, I said it earlier, I'm a bitch when it comes to 3D. I love 3D. Seeing this in the theater on the biggest screen possible in 3D was an experience. I've only seen it 2 more times since. It was at home in 3D, which is never as good. And then I watched it on 4K last year, the year before, and I still liked it. I think that 5-star rating is generous. I would probably drop it to a 4 personally, but I still really like the movie, but I don't. I do not have the passion that Payson has. Cody, why don't you go next?
No, can
Save him for last.
Save him for last, please. Can we just have him last? I want to say what I want to say without him and his opinion.
Please, Tim. Please let Jake go first.
Jake, go.
Thank you. Yeah, this movie makes me proud to be an Australian. Like, to be completely honest, I'm quite critical on Australian movies. I don't think they have the same impact as the rest of the world when it comes to cinema, mainly because the government doesn't give a shit about Australian cinema. But watching this in the cinema, being hyped for a 4th Mad Max movie, like, I owe it all to my mom. My mom made me watch Beyond Thunderdome when I was like 10. That was actually the first Mad Max film I ever saw. But she's the reason why I got into Mad Max, why I love the franchise, why it's like so cool to see Australian films like this be told, and universally it's loved. So when the trailer came out, and we all remember when that trailer came out and just being like, holy shit, this is something special. So then when the movie came out and we all went to see it, and me and my mum, so I think it was like the week after Avengers. It was around that time. I think it was May, right?
It was I believe it was 2 weeks later. It was the same week as Pitch Perfect.
Yeah, Age of Ultron, Hot Pursuit, Mad Max Fury Road.
How could we forget Hot Pursuit?
Of course.
But Mad Max Fury Road. It's Mad Max. That's great.
But watching that, it's like, I think I said in my review, it's one of my greatest experiences in the cinema ever. Just because even at then, like, I didn't know much about what the movie was going to be about. So to kind of experience this just essentially 2-hour long action scene was something that I'd never seen before. It's so, the word I would use to describe this movie is operatic. It feels like this epic opera like play of sound and colors, and it's you can't say you've seen a movie like this and it's presentation wise. Like, it is visually unlike any movie you've seen before, especially an action movie like this. Everything is intentional. I remember when it's the first when the chase begins and you see two cars kind of crash and then flip, and I was just like, yeah, this movie is something unique for me. And it is fantastic. Booth Warrior is one of the greatest supporting characters ever. Him just playing his guitar, his flamethrower guitar, is fantastic. It's a great idea. It's perfect. It's one of the greatest action movies ever made. I've seen it so many times. I love it. It's just, it is cinema. It is the movie. Okay.
The movie, yes, one of the biggest the movie energies I think ever.
Joseph.
This is a movie that I really kind of wish that I got to see in the theater. When I turned 18, I really wanted to see this in the theater. I couldn't, so I ended up staying at home and watching Die Hard for the first time when I turned 18. That was a great movie. Cody's killing me right now. I didn't see, and because I didn't see that, I didn't get at the theater. The first time I got to see it was like at Oscars time when it got nominated for all those Oscars. And I did feel a little underwhelmed by it. Like, the action was cool, but kind of like what all the critics were saying about how the story isn't that much to latch onto for that. I have seen it since. I have rewatched it a few times since then. And because because of that first mindset, and then realizing, oh, this isn't the kind of movie to pick at for the story, it's more about the spectacle that they're offering, I have enjoyed it more since then. The rewatches for me personally have helped. It's okay. I totally understand when Cody says that the rewatches haven't really helped, because yeah, it's not a movie for everyone. But for me personally, I have enjoyed it more since then. And yeah, I can totally see why people would be saying that this movie could have been won Best Director, especially for George Miller to do all that technical stuff. I wouldn't go so far as to give it Best Picture, but I do get it.
All right, Cody.
I'm really sorry that there are simple brains in this community. Kind of smooth brains is what I would consider them. They literally just described a Circus Olay film. Like, oh, it's a great spectacle, lights, cameras, ooh, magic. Sorry, my brain has something more to connect to than something like, I bet you guys are amazed at fireworks displays. Like, holy crap, did you see that explosion? That's magical. Listen, you talk about that you don't need exposition and people talking nonstop, but this movie is literally, this is a war over fuel. So then what you launch in is a bunch of 18-wheelers with about about 3 miles per gallon tanks, and just burn through the desert. No one fills up once. Then you take this great thing. Also, I love there's this character that everybody like gets behind, Furiosa. Boring as shit. Bland. Nothing to add to her. Next to stiff Tom Hardy, the grumpy. Since Bane, he can't work his face anymore. I don't think he has the ability anymore, because like every movie is just the pants. Listen, then you go to this dark scene where they're like in the middle of the night and everybody falls asleep. So bored. So like, yes, I'm not. I didn't talk at all when you talk. So shut your mouth. Thank you. Learn the mute button. So what I will say is, this movie just gets, I'm not going to say like the action and stuff is not entertaining. Like, yeah, sure, that's cool, but that only carries a movie for so long. There's got to be more to a story and more to something developing than just like pyrotechnics. And they just do stupid things that make no sense for the sake of being that cool spectacle. Like, I'm sorry, playing guitar that shoots flames out of it is actually a stupid idea. Really terrible idea. No one's ever done it in the history of rock, because there's a reason, because you burn people alive. The swinging back and forth, it's all like a bunch of like, ooh, sparklers, ooh, Roman candles, ooh, the grand finale, ooh, like, it's never like anything that actually adds to the film whatsoever. Nicholas Hoult sprays his face with spray paint, and we're just supposed to like, sure, that's cool. It's this problem with this entire community. Everything comes out, and they're like, it didn't make sense. It didn't do this, but I liked it. I enjoyed it. It's cool. But listen, if you want a great film, not a great director, this is what, because he directed the stunts and stuff? No, it's a stunt director. Give the stunt director best director. Don't give the guy that says, hey, what I really like to see now is this. Do you also hold Crocodile Dundee as one of the highest things in your like land too? Like, just because it's from Australia, you're like, I thought America Pride was stupid. You're Australian Pride just because, it's America. Stop.
I'm not really what I consider a patriot, but like,
you know, the greatest thing is probably Black and White, because it becomes a duller movie on Black and White, and then maybe people would hate it. Go watch that version. Boring.
Okay. Cody, let's go to you next. Stick with you.
So what I was going to bring up, you kind of hinted at it, not because it's a good movie. I don't hate it as much as this community. But as working in a movie theater, as a manager, and we always get projections of what films are going to do. And then when films shatter the expectations and blow up your theater, Jurassic World was one of those films that no one saw coming that year at all. Not what I'm picking, but when it was, I thought it was rating like $100 million, $120 million, and the thing broke this record that month. It was nuts because dinos came back to the theaters and everybody lost their mind. So, as a theater perspective, crazy. No, we were not staffed for Jurassic World what it was. But I'm gonna go back to 2014. I'm going to be a little bit of a slut. I'm not going with the one that's August. That's a little bit of a, like, out of the summer. I'm going to go with Days of Future Past. I'm going X-Men. There's a lot of 2014 blockbusters that I could have picked of. I could have picked Dawn. I could have picked Guardians. But this one... Winter Soldier. I'm an X-Men slut.
April. So.
Yeah, that's why. But I'm an X-Men. Like, as much as... Jake loves Spider-Man. X-Men is it. Some of the movies that everybody hates and thinks are abominations, I find some enjoyment of some sort of it. I will find some happiness in everything. When this movie came out, I really like the First Class. I think First Class is one of the most underrated like comic book movies if you actually watch it like as a whole. I think the score and everything and where they're able to go with this. The fact that if you've talked to me in this community, if the fact that we have one with Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen, and we were able to cast a perfect younger replacements for both, as James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender, is like a world that I didn't think would exist. Just the whole like build up, the travel back in time. The only thing I do gripe about this movie a little bit is like it's not based on the comics as much. It's not Kitty Pryde that goes back. It's the person that sells the movie. It's Logan. It's Wolverine. It becomes a Wolverine kind of thing. Like that's why I'm excited for X-Men in the MCU, because we're gonna actually get like a true X-Men movie. I think for the first time ever, like the team that makes sense. But. Yeah, Days of Future Past has so many ups and downs. Like, and I think this is the last film that Jennifer Lawrence actually tried in. Like, actually maybe attempted to give somewhat of a performance. And even then, she's not really giving a performance. She hated the character Mystique. You could just tell it. But she has somewhat of a character. But Fassbender and McAvoy's like back and forth with this film as they're all going. The dropping of the thing over the when he picks up the stadium and drops it on the White House, like that's just stuff that you really can't like think about. It was the first Quicksilver thing too, which they did in the second one, which was just a retread. But the first time you're seeing that scene was so cool. It's one of the best moments that I've ever had in cinema. But like to look back in the past of like they had to do this because they were losing. Like every Superman movie when it starts, everybody keeps dying, and like Armageddon way better than Mad Max. Sure, I'll say that. But the death and everything, like them dying at the beginning and them having to do this, and bringing the past and the future together, beautiful. Yeah, Days of Future Past.
Joseph.
It's been a while since I've seen this movie, but I do remember enjoying it a lot. Like, this movie made me reconsider the place that X-Men: The Last Stand has in the X-Men films, and made me go like, this actually might actually have some good significance in the series, and it's not quite as bad as I remember. That's still crazy to me. But yeah, I like it. I like it. Not quite love it, but it's not quite my favorite one in the franchise, but I do like it.
Jake?
I saw this in the cinema with my mum. We kind of like, we watched, at the time we would watch the X-Men movies in the cinema, because I remember watching the Wolverine, and I thought that post-credit scene was so like fascinating. When you see Magneto and Xavier at the airport, and just like telling my mum, well, there's going to be another one next year that's going to called Days of Future Past, and just telling him, just like, oh, that sounds exciting. And then cut to a year later and going to see this in the cinema. I liked it so much when it first came out, and every time I've watched it, it has gone worse and worse in my mind. I'm sorry, Cody, but there's just many things that I just find infuriating with this movie. I don't like the Sentinels. The design is cool, but I find them to be too OP. Speaking of OP, Quicksilver appears for one scene, can do literally anything, and then he could just stay home while we have to fight these robots and shit. Like, I feel like Quicksilver would be a very essential member to your team if you kept him.
You don't trust a team. You don't trust a team member on day one to hit a home run when they just joined the team. Just to let you know.
You're gonna throw a sports analogy at me. I love it. I also just don't really care for the action. Outside of the Quicksilver scene and the opening, the action just doesn't really do anything for me. I think some of the music is great. It's great to hear John Ottman come back and do like the X-Men theme from X2. But some of the music just sounds like the music from Inception. Specifically, Xavier's theme just sounds like the end music from Inception. I think it's called Time. It's just the same fucking piece of music. And the last shot makes no sense. Why the fuck is Mystique pretending to be Stryker? And then they don't even play that at all in Apocalypse. Like, what? It's like they like, we could set this up, this would be cool, and then just they didn't do anything. We gotta, it's just, I hate that sort of filmmaking, but I do love the post-credit scene so much.
Because they had to retcon Origins out of
But they've retconned so much stuff that they retconned
not until that point. Not until that point.
Well, maybe a little bit. Well, that's Apocalypse's problem. But anyway, speaking of Apocalypse, I really love the post-credit scene. I really love how they set him up, and it just makes you feel so intimidated by this fucking kid. And then they fucked it up in Apocalypse.
Yeah, I like this movie. I've never loved it. First Class is my favorite. I would rather watch that, even with Emma Frost or whatever the fuck her name is. I would take that over this movie. There is something about it where like there's not a single scene in this movie that gets me super fucking hyped the way that like other X-Men movies have done before. But I still really like the movie overall. It's a high 4-star for me. I remember seeing it, and it was one of those where like I remember going in kind of like I was talking about with the Northman earlier, where I was like, this is gonna be a 5-star movie, like let's fucking go. And then I walked out and I was like, I really liked it. I did not love it the way I wanted to. So I think it's really good, and it totally makes sense why this is Cody's X-Men movie. Like, absolutely. I think Fassbender is always fucking great. He's even in Dark Phoenix, he's so good. And he's the best part of Apocalypse too. So yeah, big fan of this movie. There are a lot of moments I really love. The whole scene on the plane, I'm a big fan of. I think everything on there is fantastic. So yeah, like the movie, don't love it, but it's still top tier X-Men for sure. Payson.
Yeah, I think this movie is really, really good. I only saw it the once when I saw it in theaters, but I had a really great time. I know Scully thinks this is like, he's told me this is like his favorite Marvel movie of all time, and I wouldn't go quite that far, but I do think this is a really, really great movie. Like Cody said, I love McAvoy and Fassbender. I think just that casting is really, really great. The Quicksilver scene is incredible. The whole, like, I'd argue maybe the best use of Mystique throughout the entire movies. The character kind of went downhill after this. But yeah, I am not a fan of her in Apocalypse or Dark Phoenix. Yeah.
You're talking to the new one?
Yeah.
Or are you talking about overall?
No, the new one.
Oh, you're correct. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, just that spectacle of Magneto lifting the stadium, I think, is incredible. And yeah, just how this movie completely puts a button on all the mistakes that these movies had done in the past. And it seems like, oh man, we can go anywhere. And then just seeing where the final two movies go is really disappointing. But yeah, this movie is excellent.
All right. I will go next. My pick, Joseph's apparently going to hate to see it because he said he was glad Cody didn't go with it, but I thought Cody was going to. It's Guardians of the Galaxy. I love this movie. It's my second favorite MCU movie. I count August as part of the summer movie season. August
is a summer month.
Yeah, May through August to me is the summer movie season, which is why I wouldn't have picked Infinity War or Endgame. If I could pick one of those, I would have picked Infinity War, but it came out the last week of April. So, yeah, I love this movie. This is, I did a video a few years ago leading up to Endgame, I believe. It's on my YouTube channel, about, it was either leading up to Infinity War or Endgame, about how this movie kind of really shaped. It was a big moment for me in movies. I think the humor is great. The characters are all fantastic. I even like Ronan the Accuser. I don't give a fuck what anyone else says. I like him. I just think that they do such a perfect job. And this movie isn't like Guardians 2 or any of the other Marvel movies where we're talking like 2 hours and 20 minutes plus. This is a 2-hour movie, and you take away the credits, hour 45, hour 50, when you take away all the post-credit scenes and stuff. So what they were able to do with the short amount of time, the world building you have, and the characters, and also expand on the greater MCU as a whole by bringing in Thanos and other stuff, I think is done so well. The music we talked about on the soundtracks episode a month or so ago. I fucking love the music. Like I said, I love all of the characters. I'm a big Rocket fan. Rocket's my favorite of the Guardians. And I just think it's so well done from beginning to end. It's the, at the time, the prettiest MCU movie. It actually has color in it. And again, I love the MCU. There's not a single MCU movie I hate. And this one is by far, like, I can say, like, yeah, they all look kind of gray. I get it. But this one, it has a lot of color to it. I love it. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this is for sure or not, but I think this might be the first time I ever saw a movie twice in one day, where I literally saw it at the 7 p.m. premiere show with my dad and then left and went to the theater that I worked at and saw it in 3D at 10. And I saw it back to back, and no regrets, no regrets. Loved it. It was fantastic. And it was the first time that I ever saw a movie more than 10 times in the theater as well. I saw it, I believe, 12 times total in the theater. It was also the first MCU movie I got to see with Maggie in the theater. So that also, it holds a special place in my heart for that as well, just because we've been doing the MCU together ever since. So it holds a very special place. This is I made a letterbox list a while ago called movies. What was it? It was like movies that cure a depressed Tim or something like that. And this was like the first movie I thought of that, like, I could put this movie on at any time and it will just make me feel good. There are movies that I love that are 5 out of 5 movies that are like, oh my God, I absolutely love that movie. It's incredible. But like, I'm not in the mood to watch it. I would watch this anytime, any day. It's one of the few MCU movies I can just pop in and not feel like I need to watch the rest of the series. Fucking love this movie. So yeah. Payson, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I love Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm not quite sure where it is in my MCU ranking. It's somewhere in the top 10. I don't think it might be in like the 4 or 5 range. But no, I love this movie. Just the team dynamic. Like, every single member of this team serves a point, from Drax to Groot to Gamora to Star. I love everyone. Yeah, like you were saying, I don't hate the villain. I think Ronan's actually kind of cool. Like, he doesn't break any new grounds, but I think he's fun. The worlds they go to, whether it's Morag or whether it's Nowhere, I think Nowhere is like such a cool environment. Like, I love it. Like, when movies, like, you go to like these like criminal, like, seedy places in like space. I think that's really cool. And yeah, just you probably mentioned this. The soundtrack feels like a character in this movie, whether it's "Come and Get Your Love" or whether it's Moon Age Daydream is in this movie, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and obviously they don't play it, but like Ooh Child, like, and any movie that has a reference to that song is always makes me happy. But yeah, I love Guardians of the Galaxy.
Boys in the Hood is the other one.
Boys in the Hood, yeah. Kirkland as well.
Cody.
Just went to second on my MCU ranking after a completion of Childhood happened. Yeah, I love Guardians. Guardians was going to be my choice, but I've talked about Guardians a lot. But yeah, it's also one of the last like MCU movies that didn't carry hype around it really. It still did well at the box office. Not saying that, but like how massive. I remember having no problem seeing it the first day it came out. Like, and normal like movies would have issues with that. This one did not. Love the soundtrack. I love all the characters. Ronan is. I could name you every bad MCU villain. I think villains in the MCU are basically hand in hand. They're all bad in certain ways. I just like how literal. This movie is one of those that, like, maybe it's the last time James Gunn was funny. Maybe. I think so. I think that's possible. I think it's the last time he actually made a funny script.
The Suicide Squad, motherfucker?
Not funny at all. It has moments, but yeah, you put in the Peacemaker. He should just stop doing like dumb characters. That's the best part. Like, he has moments of like quip, but when he does like dumb characters, he can't do it because like he tries to ruin it. Like Volume 2, which is an abomination.
3 stars.
Yeah, this was brilliant. I really wish somebody else was making Guardians 3. I really do. I wish anybody and their sister would have made Guardians 3 other than that dickbag. He literally made one of the worst MCU movies.
This is about stuff.
Yeah, but this was the one that sold on a tree, a rock, a raccoon. Basically, I thought this movie was going to be so bad, and it was so good. So, yeah, expect a bad rating for number 3. I guarantee it.
But will you watch the holiday special?
No.
Oh my
Joseph.
So this is another case of a movie that I didn't see in the theater. I watched it later on when it came out, and I was really looking forward to it because of all the hype. And I was underwhelmed. Now, this is very different than a lot of other MCU movies, even the ones that I didn't. Regardless of whether I liked them or not, this was very different, and I don't think I was ready for that when I saw that. So I have revisited it since, and I do think there's more to like about it than I initially gave it, but not all the humor works for me. I personally don't love Chris Pratt in a lot of the movies that I've seen from him, and I'm sorry, Cody, I didn't love the Lego Movie or Jurassic World.
No, I don't like that. I don't like that opinion.
Yeah, I still don't love it, but it's not the worst.
Okay, Jake.
I'm actually kind of the exact opposite of Joseph, where I liked it on my first viewing, but now every time I watch it, I just get more underwhelmed. It just doesn't have the same impact as it did the first time I watched it. I like it. I think it's like got some good ideas. It's actually crazy that this movie actually happened at all in 2014, because I never thought that a superhero movie about characters that most general audience had no clue existed came out and did really well financially and critically, like does say something about the power that the MCU truly holds on us. And it's it's beating a dead wish at this point, but Ronan does suck as a villain. We've talked about it. It's been talked about to death. He's just a lawyer. I don't get his thing. But I don't know. It's got good ideas, and it's also like we get to see Josh Brolin Thanos for the first time, and I remember not expecting that at all. And when to see him, it was just like, holy shit! Like this is legit for the universe of the MCU, and yeah, some good ideas. I really like the music choices, and yeah, it started kind of like my interest in James Gunn outside of his MCU stuff. Like I think Super and Slither are like fantastic movies. But yeah.
Okay. We're to Joseph, I believe.
Okay. And between 3 movies, because I wasn't alive, or no, I was not in the theater when these movies came out and made their summer blockbuster runs. But I do really, really love them. I'm gonna go back to the 90s when summer blockbusters also existed, not just 2010s. No offense to the Guardians of the Galaxy, but that's another 2014 superhero movie that I personally wouldn't have picked. But I'm going with a movie that I don't think gets talked enough about. I'm going with 1993's The Fugitive as my pick. A movie that I think, for one, doesn't get enough love because it did have the unfortunate luck of coming out in a year of Jurassic Park and later on Schindler's List. So, like, of course, it's a stacked year with that. But this movie, I guess, holds a special place for me because I got to this one first. Then I got to see Jurassic World, which I do like. But The Fugitive, for me, I think is such a really relentless thrill ride for me. I love Tommy Lee Jones' pursuit of Harrison Ford, and I love seeing how Harrison Ford is resourceful enough to get to the bottom of his wife's murder, but also escape Tommy Lee Jones. And yeah, I just love this movie.
Jake,
this is a weird situation for me because I've seen the movie, but I've seen it in chunks over the course of like a couple of years. Where I've seen the first 20 minutes one time, and then 2 months later I've seen the ending, and then a couple months later I saw the middle. Like I can't say I've seen the movie in like one sitting to the point where it's like I have seen the movie, but it's like one of those things where it's like I don't know if I count it as a watch. So that kind of is a little bit of a semantic or like a debate, but I do like the movie, and I think it's a good idea. And I know it's based on a TV show, and it's arguably one of the best movies based on a TV show. Like as far as an adaptation goes, it kind of does it really well. Yeah, I don't really want to go too much into it just because I don't know if I feel like I've technically seen the movie, but it's a good movie. It's like a surprising sort of big hit, especially since it won an acting Oscar. Like you don't see that in these type of movies before.
It was an August summer blockbuster, so it was a little later.
Yeah, the movie's great. I saw it for the first time in 2020. I bought the Blu-ray on a whim. Just was using that money the government gave me and went on Amazon and bought like 30 Blu-rays, and I bought this one for $5 and loved it. Thought it was great. Fantastic. Don't have too much to say about it, but just really liked it. I Harrison Ford in pretty much everything. And Tommy Lee Jones is fucking awesome in it. And it created one of the greatest things ever, which is Cody saying, "I don't care" to everybody. So it's fantastic. Payson.
I get to see it, so we can see it.
Okay. Cody.
You find that man.
You find that man. You find him. Give me back my son.
I did not kill my wife.
Mel Gibson and Harrison Ford in a sequel movie, like joined together.
They were in Expendables 3.
There you go.
I did not kill my wife. I don't care. This is the most Cody movie. I've said this before. It's the most Cody movie that I didn't see for the longest time, and then once I saw it, it's burst on my top 100. I've watched it many times since. I have so much fun with it. I think Tommy Lee Jones is like me as is in this community. I'm him from this movie. I don't care what people think. I'm going to say what I want and do the job that I'm required to do. But overall, great movie. A lot of fun. Don't watch U.S. Marshals. Say that.
I have not seen.
Does not live up to any of the hype of this movie. But yeah, great movie.
All right, Jake, why don't you take us home with the final pick?
I mean, I was going to pick Mad Max Fury Road, but PC took that from me, sir.
You didn't get shot tonight, so good job.
Yeah, good point. I think this is a movie Pace has seen, although according to Letterboxd, none of y'all have seen it. And it's a big movie, May 2008, taking it all back to May 2008. I actually wasn't going to pick this, but I feel like I kind of want to highlight it. The Matrix was a very big trilogy. And the Wachowskis had a chance to make another film, and they were given the chance to do motherfucking Speed Racer.
Let's go! I never loved a man more than I love you, Jake.
Yeah, this is fucking amazing. Like, I remember watching the movie like when it came out on DVD at the time, and being like, I don't get this movie. And I'm like 10, and I've got I don't know what the movie's trying to do. And every time I've seen it since, it has gotten better. To the point that I watched it in the beginning of this year, and I realized what this movie is and what it's trying to be. And there is no movie like this before. The way it tells the story visually is unlike any other movie. The way it uses transitions and visual effects is unheard of in a movie like this. The Wachowskis put everything to making this movie fun, visually interesting, and with a very unique story, because it kind of replicates what the Wachowskis were going through, because it's about the evil corporations trying to take over something so creative and something that's loved by this family, all the while being a fun racing movie. I think the racing is great. It's so overtly stylized, but that is kind of what this movie is. And it is a celebration of cinema. Like, it is like a Damovic sort of movie where it has every trick in the book. It has everything. It's about everything in a sense, and it is just absolutely so much fun. It warms anyone's cold heart and into loving movies again. And it kind of did that for me in a sense. I just think it's just a thrill ride from beginning to end, and the way it's able to get you so engaged in not just the story, but how it is able to be told visually, especially in the last 20 minutes in that final race, where you see every sort of theme come back into the movie. And I think it's just so much fun. And John Goodman is just he's the dad that we all want. He just makes me feel so happy.
Okay, a couple things. I would like to say that because there are 5 people in the chat right now, be sure to stay, because at the end of the show, I'm giving away a digital code. So be ready for that. I posted that on Facebook earlier. None of you can get it. Cody, you don't want it. It's for the Amazing Spider-Man and the Amazing Spider-Man 2. You don't want that. So, but anyway, I've not seen this movie. I know this is a movie that if I watched it, I would love it. Like, straight up, like it's a over CGI, ridiculous racing thing that was made in the mid 2000s that was underappreciated at the time. And yeah, it's something I would love, guaranteed. I just have never seen it. I want to see it, but I never have. Cody, Joseph, have either of you seen this?
No, I haven't.
Yes.
Okay, so you have seen it, Cody?
Yeah, I've had it before. 2008 existed before Letterboxd. I want to just ask Jake a real question, and I don't mean to be offensive, but I'm going to.
Oh, okay.
How do you believe your own bullshit? Because you'll sit there and you'll say, "Oh, when I watch this movie, it goes less on rewatch. Oh, it's just things that frustrate me, things." And then you have the audacity to sit here with Kangaroo Jack and Speed Racer, all these things that high tier stuff. You lose all credibility. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul. This movie sucks. This movie sucks. This movie's a visual just black, on the screen. It has nothing great to. This is one of the, and when you pull out shit out of your ass and just say, "Oh, this thing, I want to show the world this," stop. Like, that's when you think I want to bring some light. This movie should not have been brought up. I forgot about it in 2008. You bring it back to my life every once in a while because you talk about it. Yeah, no, this movie's not good. This movie doesn't make any sense why you find any enjoyment in it. And you have the audacity to sit in your high ivory tower and throw shade at Days of Future Past and Guardians of the Galaxy. But yeah, it's last. But let me tell you about a classic that everybody should go on. It's Speed Racer, ladies and gentlemen. Stop it.
Pace.
You should be locked up.
This guy, he knows what's up. Speed Racer is amazing. This is one of the most fun and visually interesting movies I think I've ever seen. Probably one of the few successful, like, adaptations of, like, an anime onto live action. Like, they are actually translating the source material and getting the heart of what it should be. The fact that this movie wasn't appreciated at the time, and thinking about, like, what the themes are of, like, oh, the big corporates are coming in to, like, take this, like, family business. Like, it's honestly art imitating, like, life imitating art at that point with how it was received. But yeah, just all the racing scenes I think are incredible. John Goodman is perfect at playing a cartoon character. Like, I don't even really like the live action Flintstones is not a good movie. He's a great Fred Flintstone because he gets, like, the cartoon mannerisms, just like how he gets it with this movie. This is one I do need to rewatch. I think it's been, like, 4 or 5 years at this point, but man, I'm so happy we got to talk about this movie because it is a movie that accomplishes every single thing it sets out to do, and when a movie does that, how can you not love it?
Okay. Guys, that's the list. This has been the longest episode of Logged It, but I love it. I'm having a blast.
It's been a fun time.
And we're not done yet. We still have one more thing to do. Joseph's already talked about it. Jake, I don't know if you haven't been on.
He hasn't.
I haven't.
So we're gonna talk about 2016's Train to Busan. Payson, you were halfway through the movie last week. We're gonna get your take on the movie first. Go ahead.
Sounds good. I finished it. Really like this movie. Really thrilling. Ends strong, if you will. I do really like that final shot of the I don't want to spoil anything, but you think you're going to get a Night of the Living Dead thing, and you don't. And I think that makes it all the more powerful. But yeah, if I were to grade it, I'd give it 4 stars. I think it's really, really good.
Okay. Cody, have you seen this movie?
You mean?
First time tonight. I have to look it up. I watched it prior. I watched it for a while less. I remember not. Yeah, I gave it 4 stars. I'm not going on trains anymore. Is what I put on it. It's a freaky thing. I don't like zombies as much as everybody else, but I think this was a nice twist. After zombies were, like, beat to death, between those gaps and this movie came out, I was just like, wow, that's a really interesting way to do it. And again, I'm an ignorant slut when it comes to, like, foreign films and stuff, so I don't do the best job watching it. I have an attention span of a newt. Yeah, I thought it was a really solid film. It's actually, like, versus, like, last month's, no offense to the people who logged it, it's, like, a really good choice instead of nobody. That I think more eyes that hopefully got to see this movie because I think it was great. Great. It's got, like, the claustrophobic vibe of horror, like, with the zombies effect, which is great to see on film. Yeah, I'd recommend it.
Jake, have you seen it?
I have. I actually, be completely honest, I forgot what the movie was, so I was worried that it was going to be a movie that I hadn't seen, and I was going to be like, oh shit, sorry guys, I didn't actually watch it. But I have seen it. I love this movie. I think it's a great take on the zombie genre by just, what if we just keep it in a minimal location, just on a train, and all these characters are 100% expendable? Because you can kind of see, like, without going too much into spoilers, but the main character, and, you know, you kind of know who certain characters might live, but everyone else is just like, who the hell is going to live and who's going to die and who's going to be a zombie? And outside of really one character, I feel like every decision they make, or the characters' decisions, seem like they would make it as far as like in the context of what's going on. Like if you're stuck on a train with zombies, like how are you going to think about the right thing to do in those situations? And for some people, it's just, I want to live, I want to survive. So you kind of get that from the characters. I also just really like the take it has on the zombies, the way that they set up rules, like, okay, they react to sound and light. So every time we go through a tunnel, we can use that to our advantage. And I know someone is a big fan of this movie. His name is Zack Snyder, because he pretty much blatantly ripped off the entire plot of this movie for Army of the Dead. I'm not going to go into spoilers of Army of the Dead, but it is pretty much the same as far as the father and daughter relationship and the ending, which I won't get into, but I found that to be completely...
So Zack Snyder's
blatant.
A piece of shit? I agree.
Kinda, yeah. But outside of that, I just think that this is a fantastic movie. And I just love trains in general. So every time, Spider-Man 2 is a great train action scene. Like, trains are just fun.
Trains are awesome.
What would you give it, Jake?
I give it 4 stars.
Can you make a list of best trains in cinema?
Fucking A, yeah. Planes, trains, automobiles, I'll be there.
The General.
The General is probably the number one.
Yeah.
All right, so a couple housekeeping things before we get finished. Next person to comment, there's apparently 4 of you. None of you are talking in the chat. So if somebody comments by the time I'm done giving my spiel, the first person to comment will get the code.
That's not one of us.
That's not one of you. If nobody comments,
does Joseph win it?
What if it's all 4 of us in the chat?
Then I'll give it to Joseph. But here's other stuff coming up. So I just closed the poll for next month's movie of the month. Next month's movie of the month will be In Bruges, 2008 In Bruges. I've never seen this one, so this will be a new watch for me. So I'm looking forward to that. Then here is what is coming up next month on Logged It. So if you want to be on any of these topics, the post just went out for those topics, but here's what we got. May 3rd next week, Boatman will be solo hosting that one. I'm unavailable that night. Comedy villains, so villains in any type of comedy. Then the week after, for Firestarter, we are doing Stephen King adaptations. Lots of stuff you can do with that one. Many options there. So the week after that, we're doing May 17th, movies based off of TV shows. So
The Fugitive counts?
Like we talked about, The Fugitive, your Star Treks, your Brady Bunch movie, whatever you want to do. May 24th, action sequels. So it's a movie that came after another movie that was an action movie. So there you go. And we got 5 weeks in May. May 31st.
Me too.
Movies you wish you saw in the theater.
I might put my hand up for that one.
That one is going to be very fun. I'm really looking forward to that one. So that is what is coming up in the realm of Logged It for the next month or so. So In Bruges, those are your topics. Comment on the post that just went out about what shows you want to be on, and we will get you in there if we think you would be a good fit for the show. I have to change my phrasing to say get you on the show, because maybe I don't think you'll be a good fit for that show. So,
yikes.
Just being honest. So if you want to be on a show, message me or Caleb or comment on that post. But nobody's commenting in here for the code. So, hey, Joseph, you want a code?
No, it's okay. I was just responding to Jake's comment about how I won't spoil Army of the Dead, but it's the same as Train to Busan. I've seen Train to Busan, but I haven't seen Army of the Dead. So
you've basically seen Army of the Dead.
All right. Well, Spence was the last person to comment before, so I'm going to send it to Spence. They can do with it what they will. So, Spence, you won the code. But that's going to do it for us. So, again, lots of stuff coming up for Logged It. It's going to be a fun summer. We got some fun topics planned. So, we'll see you guys next week. Thank you for a fantastic episode. We'll see you next week with Comedy Villains and In Bruges. Until then, have a great night. We'll see you next time.
In case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening.
Good